over, so we can get down to business right now. I tell you, games like Iowa State and Kansas State and Kansas, they just scare me to death because sometimes you don't know, how things are going to turn out. You fumble a few times or you miss a couple of tackles. But I tell you, our kids, they played well. They really did. And before we go on, I know it's Husker Bob in there, and I certainly hope that he is feeling a lot better.
Bob Rowe was on one of the familiar, might say, characters around the football. Was pictured there at the first, had a heart attack this week, and we wish him well. Bob doesn't want to miss the Oklahoma game, but
I know Bob. He'll be out there. I don't know how to do it, but he'll be there.
Right. John, let's talk about on the positive side. The offense was awesome. Keith Jones had a brilliant day.
Oh, it's 630 yards.
666 overall.
That is unbelievable. God, I hope nobody ever does that. If anybody does that against us, we might be...
Keith had 240 yards. Remember a guy got 238 against you a few years ago?
No.
Kurt Warner, remember that? Penn State?
I remember. I just didn't want to bring it up.
About it.
Yeah.
So on the other side...
we didn't have any healthy defensive tackles either.
That's right. Yeah. Right. On the other side, we're a little shaky defense. Remember that they moved right down the field?
Well, the first series.
Got most of the yards.
Well, they had splits in the line. We had to take a little adjustment period there after the first drive they had, but after that, I didn't see any real big problem.
Shut them off at the pass and kept them from scoring a touchdown there, and of course then it was pretty well decided. Let's meet our player guests tonight, and I think we've got enough room to get both of these guys on the set. We've got a lot of poundage here on the left side of your screen. This fellow on the offensive side wears number 57, and that's offensive tackle Kevin Leitner, the senior from Hastings, and on the right side, 235-pound defensive end Broderick Thomas, the junior from Houston, Texas. Kevin, an absolutely awesome day for the offense. What did you enjoy the most out of it?
Well, I think the main thing was that everyone got to play. I think even down to the third and fourth units all got to go in and play well. And, the first team, we got in there and did what we were supposed to do, and then we got out and let everyone else have fun.
All right. And a fellow who has the nickname of the Sandman is with us. A lot of folks have been wanting to see what Broderick Thomas looks like without his football uniform, and he looks pretty nice, John.
Broderick is sharp. Both of these guys are sharp.
Broderick, I tell you, you are a fellow who, had to be helped off the field a little bit last Saturday. What happened to you?
Oh, well, Marco didn't want to stop. He didn't mind. He tried to knock me out, really.
Your own player.
Yeah. He's that type of guy. He likes to hit, so, I was the only person in the area, so he decided to hit me.
You, of course, have the title as the kind of the official or unofficial cheerleader of the team. You're not going to have that problem with the team or the fans to get ready for Oklahoma, are you?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think the team and the fans, I know the fans are ready. I'm quite sure our team is more than ready. We've been waiting to get this last game over with, and it's over now. So it's just time to get down to business.
Can you wait? Is this going to be a long 2 weeks?
Wait, it's no problem, It's better when you wait. So, when it gets here, it's going to be nice.
We're going to see an opening shot here in a few minutes. You've got some keys you're showing here. The nickname, of course, you made popular. This is our house.
Yeah, well, I really see it that way. I don't think anyone should be able to beat us in Lincoln, and I don't think anyone should be able to beat us anywhere we play. But most likely, I'm speaking of Lincoln, Nebraska. It's the place that we live in every day, and we have to deal with the people around, and we enjoy making them happy by winning, and making ourselves happy, So I think our house, we shouldn't be beat here. Period.
All right. Well, the polls this week showed some increase of interest in Nebraska. The UPI coaches poll got about twice as many votes of the coaches this week, John.
I see the guy at Syracuse voted for himself, and the guy at Miami voted for himself, right?
Well, you got to have some fans there. Now, the AP poll again showed some gains. In fact, I think this is the closest in the total points, not maybe in first place, but in the overall points that Nebraska's in.
That one is... which one is the coaches?
Well, that was the first one. This is the broadcasters and writers, and very close indeed. And boy, it's just going right down. You're in perfect position here with the polls. John, this ball game was played under almost ideal conditions. It was a little breezy.
Yeah, they predicted, what, 40% chance of rain or something, didn't they? But I tell you, it was a good day. We didn't have to put our winter underwear on her. Look at her. She doesn't seem to mind.
Yeah. It's nice. The field house over there is getting a little closer to completion, John. You're going to be in that?
It'll be completed In fact, I think the carpet is laid right now. There's a nice picture of Jimmy.
Jimmy
He
Walton.
knows what's coming.
Yeah. There's one of your charges, Leroy. Hey, Broderick.
I tell you, there's a pair, boy. There's a pair. The night watchman and the sandman.
Yeah. Broderick come back and kind of be a volunteer Herbie Husker over the years. I mean, that was a new type of earring that we haven't seen before. What's this? Canes will be.
Nebraska football national. I tell you, everybody makes. Hi, John Melton.
Have you got?
Hi, Bev. How are you?
Hey, there's those families. Huh?
Yeah, there's old Carl. Look at
those. Look at those shoes. Well, I'll tell you, this is what makes football fun. You know, there are a lot of people that enjoy this part of the game as much as the actual game.
I went up to West Point last night and watched Pius play West Point. They played well.
So you see the signs, okay?
There's Broderick with his keys.
Hey.
Who else is that with the keys?
Marlon Sanders.
Well, where did you get those keys?
Oh, some little kid came and handed them to me, you know, and I enjoyed them.
You have them yet?
Oh, yeah, I have them. I still have them now.
Yes. Well, we want those keys to fit now next on the 21st, Broderick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the Huskers come out, as we mentioned, a beautiful day.
What time does that game start?
I think it's 2:30.
2:30.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Let's see now. He doesn't remember. Okay, there's the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, the cat is done with the psychiatrist.
Your cat?
Yeah.
Have they?
$350.
The great possum incident.
And Bev's hunting days are over, too.
All right. Huskers with a 66-degree day.
There's my son, Mike. He's helping the official.
In the striped shirt or the regular shirt? Oh.
My son doesn't officiate. He's just his dad.
Wind behind the kicker, and so the Huskers will start at the 20-yard line.
Broderick, if you make a tackle, you let me know. Will you?
Okay.
All right. We're gonna give him the dance. Boy, Keith did run tough, didn't he?
The first 7 out of 240 yards.
He did a great job on the day. Great.
Yeah.
Sledge? Wow.
That's a good holder.
How do you keep ahead of a guy like that, or Steve Taylor, Kevin?
Well, you don't really try to keep ahead of them. You just go as hard as you can and just hope they try to read your blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, you know, when he first came, he had a little problem here. He weighed in at what, Kevin, 305?
Yeah, I was around there
Coach
somewhere.
Tennifer wasn't real happy with you at the time, was he?
No, they had a talk with me during 2 days.
What do you weigh now?
About 85.
You look lean.
Yeah,
Lean and mean at 285.
I tell you, I bet your dad's glad you're down here. He doesn't have to feed you.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right, you're moving up for a first down. Again, here's Keith behind that blocking you see, trying to read him. Dives for about 7. And he went out for a minute, limped out a little bit.
Yeah, he must have got hit in the leg or something.
But, yeah, looked like it was just momentary. Tyrese came. And they kind of welcomed him here a little bit.
Welcome to the Big 8, Tyrese.
Yeah, well, he welcomed them later on in the game.
That's right.
Seen him welcome about 4 or
That's a
5
pretty
of
good
them.
shot there.
That was good. He ran tough that time. Really good.
And then he comes back on this next run and really blows him out here.
Good option. Well run. Good block there. I wish I saw who that was. Somebody that got a good block downfield. It's like you say, though, if you don't block downfield, you're never going to go.
This is a good drive, 80
There's
yards.
Ron Brown, Tom, 2 great coaches. There's a good block there.
There's one there. Wow.
Dana hasn't scored one in a little while, has he, Brett?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I know he's on the way. He's just kind of bottling up for the showdown.
With Steve Taylor on the option. Look at that guy
Yeah,
go outside.
See,
and
that
Steve
was a
cuts
nice
in.
drive.
Yep.
Really was.
10 plays, 80 yards.
That's a good way to start a game, man. Don't forget how you did it. Now Broderick's getting ready.
Take another look at it. Well, this is a tough play to defend, isn't it, Broderick? Now, this is the kind of stuff you're going to see here.
Oh, well, you know, it just
Oklahoma.
depends. You know, if you don't have the speed to hang out there, you know, there's no sense in being there, you know. I think I have enough speed to deal with any quarterback in the country. So, you know, practicing against guys like Steve, you know, I think I can handle anybody, you know.
The thing that's real important, you got to understand about the wishbone. If you have the fullback, you play the fullback. If you have the quarterback, you play the quarterback. If you have the pitch, you play the pitch. You know, you can't go guess or Broderick help Leroy or Leroy help Broderick. And you got to play your option responsibility.
Must do that. If you don't do that, you're going to be in
You're in
load of trouble.
lots of trouble. That's right.
by the Cardinal. As Iowa State return. Now, John, as we watch this first series here on offense,
It's a good hit by Ferguson there.
And I react, Ferguson.
Hard-nosed guy there.
Now, why?
Well, look at the split. Look at that split out there. See? Now, Forrest had to drag him down because Cowboy, the split. Look at the splits in those lines. See Neal trying to come down? Of course, Neal's leg was bothering him so bad that he shouldn't have probably even been in there. Now, there's an option right there. They doubled. They ran that pretty well. This Henderson is a good player.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
He's a good player. Did he get hurt, Broderick? I noticed he did.
Well, he got dinged up a little bit, but you know, we just slowed him down later on in the game.
3rd and 1, and you didn't want to see this, John. You got a pretty good.
Yeah, see, it's a cutback.
Well, they're kind of playing Nebraska, and you found in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, you know, not real good. Let's yeah. This is ridiculous. It's a good pass, you know. We did a lot of slipping. You notice that you slip, brother?
Well, I didn't slip that much.
Kevin, did you?
It's hard.
I had those new shoes I got us this year. I didn't have any trouble with
No
them.
problem at all, huh? You watch and you notice we slipped around a little bit there. Maybe it's just overrunning them, you know, and bringing them back.
2nd down and 10.
Cowboy.
So now they got a first down on your 27-yard line.
It's time to get stingy now.
And when you were talking about those splits, you're talking about
Their offensive line.
Okay.
God, it was so big, you know, we had to make just a little adjustment to get it done, and then now this goes right through a guy's hand. That should have been almost an interception there, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should have been, you know, but it's
But
grateful for
we'll win
that.
a lot of games, will it?
Yeah.
This hasn't happened very much this year, John. The team come out in the first series and just go right down on it.
See, that's the one that
Good
they had a guy open in the other flat. And that's the one Jim Walden really jumped Sadik. And here we go. He fumble. Not yet. Next play. There's Broderick. All right. We had
Trying to help
everybody
my
open.
buddies out.
Huh?
Trying to help my buddies out on the
Now
top.
you got to cut him off here. The quarterback looking around, he decides he sees an opening, and there goes the ball.
There goes the ball. And I think Jobman came up with the ball, didn't he?
Well, I think it was Pete, Jobman or Pete, whichever one we
If
got.
you
the
were
ball.
around there, you'd have been in there fighting for it too, wouldn't you?
I got there just a second too late.
Well, John, along with players and a few other things and staying healthy, another attribute of a national championship is you got to be lucky. And you've had some luck this year.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart.
Heibel's carry, now Jones again.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is what I like to see. I'm surprised this guy caught him. They say this number 11, I talked to Jimmy Burrows before the game. He said this number 11 is a good defensive back.
It's good, but I don't think anyone go
Now, let's take another look
I
at
didn't
it.
think so. Well, he had a good cutoff angle on it.
Let's look at the blocking here now.
Just perfect. Boom.
Takes the ball at the goal
Look
line.
who's leading over there, number 57. Oh, Kevin.
I just trying to pick up garbage on the backside.
One guy left.
I tell you what, I think he looked back, and that slowed him down enough for this guy to catch it.
64 yards, first down to 31.
Oh. Center gets pushed back a little bit there.
Just overthrown.
Mando doesn't like that, does it, Kevin?
No.
This has been a good play for you at times, a draw.
Oh, yes it is. He's running smart, isn't he? There's Smitty trying to block for him. Yeah. Bell.
Did that something last week, John. You had 5 touchdown passes. This week, you didn't have any.
We didn't have one this
Just
week.
ground them out.
As long as you
There's
get
a
them,
good
that's-
hit right there. Good tackle. I tell you what, the Iowa State kids played hard. I'll give them credit for that. They were maybe outmanned a little bit, but Kevin, they never did quit on us, did they, Kevin?
No,
There's
they
a
didn't.
good block. There you boy.
I don't blame those. A lot of those backs come up and they just get down and kind of hug the ground on you, Kevin.
Yeah, they try to take our legs out. We just try to get down there with them.
Did we move that time? It's a good play by Smitty. Smitty's a good receiver. Real he runs good patterns.
He's a fine receiver. That's
That wasn't you, was it?
No, that wasn't me.
Good.
I've been holding free the last few weeks.
Good.
Holding free, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
We're going to take another look at this, John.
I'm not saying a darn thing.
No, I think you'll be pleased with
I am
with the
pleased.
look.
I am pleased. It was a tick pass, whatever that means.
Let's see if we can watch him drag his feet. Great protection. Now watch this. What concentration. Look at that. Isn't that great? Just gets that toe down.
That's a great receiver.
Ooh. Jonesy gets in there close.
And isolation.
There goes.
Good trap. Leitner got the
I will
block.
take it in.
All right.
And John McCormick came up
John
and
McCormick
got the
came up.
backer.
Take another look at that touchdown play. And you mentioned the.
Highball scored it.
Mm-hmm.
Good for Mike.
Me and John were there. We're kind of fighting over the same guy there for a little bit there.
I'll tell you what.
McCormick and
That's
Leitner.
almost 600 pounds fighting over a guy there, you know. You notice how everybody takes some shots at the linebackers, don't they, Kev? Huh?
Well, those guys
Yeah.
love to hit.
The poor little guys out there.
What did you say last week? Linebackers were fullbacks with their
Brains on.
Get some letters from linebackers, John.
Oh, we get some letters.
Yeah, right. Okay, you got 14 now.
Our kickoff coverage was excellent. Now, there's Welniak there causing a fumble. Now, I don't think we got anything out of this, and believe me, that does not make Coach Osborne happy.
No, he wasn't. We blew a few scoring opportunities Saturday.
Is this when he had the visit over on the sideline after this series?
Yeah, I think he did. We usually
You
have
know,
two.
Coach doesn't get...
Now you're talking after you didn't score on this drive?
yeah, I think what they do, just go over and show you the defenses they were in. And
Yeah.
see, we start off all right. What do we get, about 3 or... well, about 4 or 5, yeah, which is all right.
And then this pitch went awry.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that number 49, you got to give him credit. He played it pretty good. Broderick, he had his hand out, you know, like you're taught.
Well, I guess so, you know, but he's lucky that guy number 21 didn't go in.
They're behind Brinson, so it's fourth down.
Fourth down.
And you no sense going for a field goal.
No, I don't think so. We had a long way to go, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Fourth and 16.
Yeah.
Nobody opened the pass. He got 8, but gives them the ball at the 18. This is where you...
Well, you know, that means if he didn't throw it, that means they're pretty well covered. And now you can see the defense is going to get a little...
now you get the ball right back.
yeah.
Could have ran our own option if he
Lorenzo.
got away.
Huh?
Could have ran our very own option if he'd got away with that.
You wanted to... see, now, Jimmy, you don't do that, Jimmy. You don't do that.
He did kind of chew him out a little.
Yeah, you know, he's got a mother and dad. And that's why I never yell. Ain't it, brother?
That's right. Mom and Dad will do enough hollering.
We got a clipping penalty now.
That wasn't on me either.
I know it.
Tyrese gained 12, but that was canceled out by penalty. At the end of the first quarter, 14-0.
You notice every play, oh, we had a little problem there. The fullback hit the trapper, didn't he?
But Carpenter still got 8.
That's going to be a great fullback in time to come.
We got 2. We're very fortunate. We have 2 good fullbacks. Now he's running good there.
That he is.
You know, I'd like
He
to
got
just,
over
I'd
100
like
yards.
to just see him take that guy and knock him over on the Iowa State side of the field, you know? There's Henley standing there with his jacket on, chewing his gum.
Steve pulled one of his classic reverses here.
I know how that linebacker feels. Broderick, anybody ever fake you like that?
No, not yet.
No,
I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to anything like that.
Good concentration. I bet. This is an exciting run coming up here with Taylor.
Oh, the guy almost had him in the backfield. How did he get through there? Milliken, he's standing there. wondering. He don't know what to do.
Let's take another look at that run.
This play's designed to get outside, but he cuts it up.
He read
They
it.
had a lot of
There's
flow.
Sledge looking. There's Milliken. Milliken gets an assist. There's McCormick. John's down the field a long way there.
Got
isn't he?
17 out of it. Well, here's some pretty blocking. Tyrese.
He just walked.
Oh, boy, very nice.
Good job of blocking over there.
Carpenter had a couple of people on the ground there.
Is that your side of the line?
Yeah, that is. We had everyone down on the ground.
That's good.
That's where you like to see them on their backs.
Watch this. This is a good job. You know, they always accuse the offensive linemen of holding. Aren't you lucky we don't ever do that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, we don't hold that often.
No, we don't. I'm sure Melton, Dan Young, they really work with you guys on that.
7 plays, 64 yards. Grennan's kick, 21-0.
Now, I wonder what Jimmy was mad about here.
He
What?
was really hot that point. I don't know.
I don't want to get hot at the refs, though. It's on
No,
people.
no.
Don't get them upset.
Leroy's ready. Hey, look at this.
Do I have to?
Leroy didn't play in the first half.
No, he didn't. First quarter.
First quarter.
Ooh. Well, he stuck it to him, and who was that? Kroll underneath, and there's my son. Oh, I found out why those pants are white. They call them stone washing.
I tried to tell you that, John. Three
No,
times
you-
the last time.
You never told me stone washing. Why did they do that? I mean,
That's the style, John, remember? He used to wear probably a pink shirt and gray pants one time, you know, that was style.
when I was a kid, I used to wear a sugar sack for support.
Coach Walton was telling that guy, you got to get me blocks. I was like, not today.
Leroy, Forsey took care of that little problem.
Linebacker
Porsche had a good day.
Forsey plays good all year. Now, what I don't understand. They had more fake punts, I think, than we ran plays. Who is that? Rodney, that's embarrassing.
He tried to nail me. I don't know. Somebody might have tried to pay Marco off that one. And he tried to help me out. Like, Marco, why you do me like that?
Both of you shouldn't be going for that punt, see?
Oh, well, I tried to ease up. Marco just kept going.
Blakeman in a quarterback.
Well, you got to understand, Marco plays right end and left end, doesn't he?
Man, he plays them both. He does well at either one.
Yeah. Well, our defensive ends have played good all year.
Everybody covered, so
I
toss
think
it out
he
of
just
bounds.
threw that in the way, didn't
Yeah.
Somebody that's had to be the best backup in the country.
We had Derek Green in there at tackle that
Look
time.
at that
Great
hole
block.
there. Isn't that great?
Pulled away from 2 and fakes the third one. And take another look.
Watch that hole there. Watch that hole. That line.
Get
Put
this over
another
the
stadium inside that.
Derek Green, left tackle, was in the
Did a
game
good
there.
job,
Yeah, he killed it. Yeah.
Good job. Guy misses, fakes him. Somebody got a good block there. Did you see that was, Kevin?
I didn't see who that
Jones
was.
had to look around. He couldn't believe he was that open. 27 yards, touchdown, 3 plays.
Well, you know, now is when you got to just put them away and then relax. But we didn't put them away there, really, did we?
No. They after at this point of the game, you still came away with the impression they were pretty scrappy. Although
I think they played hard all game. I don't think they gave up, did they?
they didn't give up.
No.
There's
They
one
were
a little
playing
help
tough.
there with some of the turnovers.
Oh yeah.
Straight Valadale.
Ray Valadale's got him there. Then everybody jumps on. They want to get an assist. See? Yeah.
Did Neil Smith play in this game?
About 3 or 4 plays.
That leg was really hurting him bad, so
Yeah.
he just decided to get out before it hurts it any worse.
3rd down and
A little
10.
pressure on the quarterback here now.
Ball's hard.
Fall. Now, see, we didn't get anything out of this fumble
Nope.
either, did we?
No, we didn't.
Who got the Valadale? Got the fumble?
Number 5.
That's a good
Gamrot
job.
for the sack.
Seems
That's
like we
good.
couldn't score Saturday unless we had to go about 90 yards.
Yeah, you know. And,
So that gives you a first down, but it didn't last very long. Ooh. This almost looked like
I
a
tell you what,
95-yard
this guy
run.
here is a pretty good defensive back. He has good size, doesn't he?
He's done a good job. So
Steve
far,
Taylor
what
had
I've seen,
to,
he did a great job.
Make the stop. So there were a lot of kind of swings of the pendulum in this game.
It was an exciting game, really, you know, a lot of long runs.
Ooh.
Jonesy's trying to rip his head off. Who was under there?
I'm not sure on that.
I want to see the Sandman make a tackle and give me that. What do you call that thing?
Oh, just getting excited, a little dance
Oh,
for a second.
Well, I tell you, it's good to play with a little excitement.
Good coverage by
No,
Welniak.
no. Welniak banged him pretty good. Welniak did a great job on the kickoff. That's about as good a kickoff coverage we've had this year.
No return on that one, out of bounds.
You on a kickoff team, bro?
Oh, no. Thank God.
Don't you like the kickoff team?
It's fair, you know, when it's big game time, you know, I don't mind, but I prefer just defense. Really like defense a lot.
How about all those poor linebackers? They're all on there.
This was
Here
a
we
fun
go.
play.
Here we go. Boy, he's a tough little back. Go ahead.
Those linebackers like a lot of contact, so they let them get enough
Well,
for the
you're
day.
supposed to like it, too.
Oh, you know, they call me a defensive end, so, you know, it's a little different from being a linebacker, they say.
I see. Okay. Well, as long as you explained it to me that way.
I think Broderick will get you coaches straightened out if you just stay with him long enough, John.
Yeah.
That was 12-yard gain on there. Just pitch
Well,
Jonesy.
an option.
Gets the first down.
I tell you, see, Iowa State is still hitting good. That number 11, he's appeared, hasn't he? There's a sweep, kind of sweep.
Ooh. Well, that's just speed to turn the corner like
Yeah,
that.
and then they catch us for something,
Yeah,
don't
holding.
Okay, they got a nice shoulder.
That wasn't you either.
I wasn't at the game out there, so it couldn't have been me.
That was a
Nice
good
run.
run.
Nice block on that linebacker.
Yeah. Second unit lines in there now.
We were substitute even through the first quarter. We
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, yep.
That guy, you know, a guy blindsides you. That's where most of your fumbles are caused, really, when you blindside a guy like that.
Now we're going to watch Iowa State with the ball a little
Who's
bit
that
here.
rolling out there? Pete?
Yeah.
God, he's rolling out there. There's Marco again.
Fake punt.
Fake punt. Leroy misses.
They got a pretty good average on this, John.
Oh, yeah. And the worst part about it is we spend a little time practicing it. That, you know, if they catch you.
They put together a couple of big pass plays here. One.
He paid the price there. Willie stuck him.
They got a first down for 39. One thing all year, John, is a lot of gang tackling.
Yeah. Everybody jumping on, you know, trying to get oh, hey, Marco is. You know, hey, that's. Any of you other ends play in this game, or did Marco do it all, huh?
I think he tried to do it all.
Well,
Did a
he
good
tried
job.
to knock you out at the beginning. This is Rother for another step.
Walker, you'd have to call him the sack man. If
Well,
Broderick
he
is
does
the
get a
sand
lot
man.
of them, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's the leader.
Look at that. the button
Marco was
head.
right there with him.
Oh, yeah.
Now this is not what you want to see coming up here either, John.
This was unbelievable. I've been a coach for a long time, but you know, that's a freshman guy getting a little excited there. You know, he's playing, but that happens. But I just never seen it before.
Lewis, yeah, he had quite a crowd around him when he decided to take a try at the ball.
But he's a freshman and get
He's
a little
gonna be
excited.
okay.
Oh yeah, he get excited.
Now, I always thought Broderick
Then, all right, brother.
batted
You
the
should have
pass
picked
down.
that up. You got good hands.
I was hoping to pick it off and go about 90 yards.
There you go.
Well, they need a little crowd support down in
That was dirty.
No, it wasn't there. You got to catch it.
I know, good job, but you know, I see it as that's not fair.
There's Rother knocks that down. One good thing about our defensive linemen, they're all so tall. You know, they get three-step drops. You don't bring those hands down.
Melton says he's got all the little stubby guys over on offense.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, how tall are you, Kevin?
I'm 6'2".
6'2", but you're also 285.
Yeah,
You saw the field goal attempt
Makes
missed,
you a big man.
and the Huskers would run a couple of plays and use up the first half. We were talking it over with Charlie there. What do you point now, John?
I can't remember. Okay. I know it wasn't good. Charlie and I were. Oh, I know what we're talking about.
Well, the yardage wasn't too bad. Iowa State only had 28 yards rushing. They did have 85 passing. Most of that, of course, in that first drive and those two plays near the end. But 383 yards offense in the first half.
That's usually a pretty good day. Isn't
Wow,
it? Yeah.
wow, that's something indeed. What about, John, while we have a minute here, and we'll be talking with our player guests and with John Melton. John, what about the Big Eight this year? I mean, the Kansas teams are on hard times. Iowa State's in a hole. Missouri's trying to get out. Colorado and Oklahoma State have tried to make a run at things and just haven't had it to get the big teams. What's your opinion on it?
Well, you know, I think right now, of course, there's two great teams in the Big Eight. You know, us and Oklahoma. I think we're great football teams. We're as good as anybody in the country. And I think Oklahoma State can play with just about everybody in the country. They can play with. I'm not sure they can beat everybody in the country, but they can play with them. They're a good football team. And I think you drop down. Colorado is a good football team. They really are. You know, they.
But can some teams, like, you know, it used to be the rules, Johnny Majors would come into, like, Pittsburgh, and he could go out and recruit 50 or 60 players and build a team.
No,
now, you can't do that anymore.
You can't do that anymore.
And what do guys like Jim Walden do?
Well, you just take your time, really, and you go out and recruit 20 good players this year, and then 20 good players and 20. That's right. Because see, you can't make a special deals for any school. So then, if you would allow, say, Iowa State an extra 15 scholarships, okay, yeah, then what would you do when SMU comes back in the business? You're going to give them 60, 70 scholarships? Can't do that.
Our guests, Broderick Thomas and Kevin Leitner. Broderick, let me ask you this. The media and the fans love you because you don't hide your feelings. Does that bother you? Do you like that? How do you go along with that?
Well, sometimes it's fine, but, you know, sometimes it gets me in trouble, you know, so I kind of take it easy and kind of lay back.
They lead you into sometimes once in a while?
Well, sometimes I let them do that, but, you know, it's all in fun, you know, playing football, you know, so I don't mind, you know, I just love the fan support, you know, coming from Houston, you know, there's not one sport that has a lot of fan support, you know, other than the Oilers when they hear Earl Campbell, so, you know, I'm just enjoying things down in Lincoln. I love it, you know, making a home of it.
Who gave you the term Sandman, or did you bring that with you?
Well, I brought it with me from Houston out of high school, you know, and people around here, they really like it, you know, and I love it, you know, so I don't mind being called a Sandman.
Oh, well, it's and folks love it too, Broderick, I tell you, and I know fans are glad to see you on the screen, as they are down in the Hastings area. Kevin Leitner is with us, a big guy who has pared himself down here to 285 for his fighting trim. Kevin, what's an average, what'd you have for breakfast? What's an average day for you? Huh?
Oh, I don't know. I don't like eggs that much, to tell you the truth. I just drink a lot of milk.
Do you?
Yeah, that's probably my main diet.
Remember we had Rod Horn? Remember the guy that used to...
Oh, God.
Remember?
Rod would
Has
eat
anybody
the
ever
chairs.
equaled him?
No, I've never seen a guy eat like. We had him on a diet one time, Rod Horn, and he ate 40 pounds of lettuce.
40 pounds of lettuce.
So, no, I tell you what.
Well, you had a day off now yesterday. Did you get to enjoy it or what?
Yeah, I did. I didn't do too much. I just sat around and ate and tried to get the weight back up on the weekend.
You're going to get weighed again tonight. You know that, don't you? You,
Sat around and
Willie Griffin, and a few. Don't go up to 305.
Kevin, if we, you know, the offense has been awesome, but if we had to find something, we might say, well, there have been a few too many fumbles and penalties. Do those things bother the offense?
Yeah, they do. You know, Coach Osborne, that's probably the thing that he hates the most is penalties and turnovers. And we had a few this week. We started off really well. Our defense was getting turnovers, but then we just give them right back to them. And plus, not capitalizing on good field position. We blew a few opportunities there Saturday.
Well, you're going to need one of those near perfect games for Oklahoma. You know that.
And I think we're going to get it.
Okay.
Oh, I tell you, I can hardly wait. You know, games like Oklahoma game. That's what these guys came to Nebraska for. Play games like that. They knew when they came here we're going to be fighting for national championship. It's just the waiting around, isn't it?
That's the only thing that eats me up, just waiting.
Well, You know, but
Are you getting a lot of pressure, Broderick, from the Oklahoma media and all these people calling you and stuff?
Well, I'm handling it just fine. You know, I'm enjoying it. You know, I'm telling people it's going to happen. It's no problem. You know, just waiting on the date. You know, time's going to, you know, evaporate. So we're just waiting.
Right. Well, things are going to happen here very quick, John, in the second half. The first play,
start, yeah.
Keith Jones gets a couple of yards.
You know, you think we're messing around again. There's Kevin straightening out his pads. I don't know why, but here we go. All right, come on, Kevin. You hit John McCormick right
Well, I
in the
just
back.
tried to knock everyone down there.
Boy, isn't this a great run, huh?
Smitty got a good block down
Oh,
the field.
yeah. And Gregory got a good block on that. I think
And,
both guys. But you can't have a long run without good block.
Todd Melton got clear downfield from the backside and cut
Did
down safety, too.
All right, let's watch it from this angle now.
Broderick, see that
There's
shoulder
Micah.
pad?
There's Melton putting the guy
55
down.
one.
Would
Would you like to wear a pair like that?
I like mine. Just find mine do a better job. A little extra to mine.
They were, oh, I tell you what, they weren't going to catch him at
I
that.
tell you. Another 69 of his 240 yards in the game.
How many sellout games do we have in a row now? About 150?
Yeah, at least. And I tell you, there were folks thought, you know, here's a game where you were heavy favorites, but still folks are looking and saying, hey, we only got 2 more chances to see these guys this year.
You can't get tickets. Huh?
You want to?
And I tell you what, there are no tickets for Oklahoma. I tell you, there's just no use bothering asking or.
I've got a lot of calls these last 2 weeks, people wanting tickets.
Well, sure, yeah. Anywhere, as long as they're good seats.
All right, well, let's watch Broderick here. Now he gets some action. Here he comes.
That's good play, Broderick. That's a good play.
I had to get out there and make the play. Been my fault if he'd made a long game.
Forrest wrestles him down. Believe it or not, that's a defensive signal.
Okay.
Horsey gets beat there. That was his man. You know, it's we got a lot of people on those tackles, don't we?
That's great. That's what
That's
you
the way
need.
it should be. Did you see him grab Brian Washington right by the jersey?
Tackled him.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be a nice one. Oh, it's the next one.
That wasn't good. We didn't play that pass all day.
They got a
We had to
first
set
down
up
on
for an interception, too. 2 times our kid slipped on that thing. Leroy.
He slipped.
Thank God Leroy didn't hit that guy. Thank God.
This kid's a good kicker. He's a kid from Council Bluffs. Well, we made a defensive mistake there. We didn't get the right defensive call.
Jamrod comes around from behind.
Boss, he's doing the job just fine.
The boss, is that what you call him?
Yep, boss hog.
Boss
Boss hog, huh?
Quarterback's going to have to lead the game for this one.
Blasik mad that he
Is this your
didn't
big
have that
hit
one.
now coming?
Oh, well, I put one on him. He's laying down.
Oh, is he?
That's him right there. Helping him out. Sorry about that.
Mr.
You're a
Sandman.
piece of work.
Send me a drink.
I had to stop him.
Yeah, there you got
Murray and
another tackle there. I'll say one thing about you, brother. If that ball's on the ground, you're going to be around it.
Got to go find it.
44-yard field goal. Now, I was a little concerned in this next series, John. You got him 35-3. You got Oklahoma coming up, and in this next series, Steve Taylor's running options out there. I was kind of holding my breath a little bit.
Oh, he's a tough kid. That just, you know, you got to stay sharp. Now, come on, straight up the field. No, don't ever stop. They haven't got him down yet. He just ran out of room.
Well, Dana ran really tough this weekend. Just tuning his body
You
up.
know who really likes football? My daughter, Margie. She knows a lot about football. She watches football more than her dad.
We have a lot of very intelligent women football fans.
She asks me some questions sometimes that really,
She probably knows.
I know she knows more about football than her husband does.
Does she know
I
about
that.
the playing of the goal line, John?
Steve stepped out, tried to get free six.
They're getting ready now.
Right.
This is probably Steve's last play, isn't it?
Yeah, Blakeman had 1 foot in bounds there. Looked like he's ready to come in.
Now get out there, Steve. That's enough.
You know, when he got up slowly like that, I'm thinking, hey,
Oh, he's
let's
all
get
right.
it. Yeah, he's had a pretty good pounding though. All right.
He's tough.
Vance Van Zandt would say he's on scholarship. No matter what happens, you know, he's on scholarship. Look at those guys running in and out. I swear I'll never know how Coach Osborne. We can't get 2 guys in on the kicking game. And he's running. Now, there's a good hit.
You ran your famous double 39 kickoff, though. They caught you.
Yeah,
on
they
that
caught
later.
us. I think somebody must have squealed on us.
Ball comes loose.
Did we get her back?
Yeah.
Who got it, Kev?
The guy with the
I think
name,
they got it.
Moore? Or Corey?
No, they got it.
Oh, they got it. Okay. I'm sorry. Husker Hankies.
Is that right?
You know, my wife bought 10 of those, John.
For what? I mean,
Well, she sent them down to my daughter in Houston. Whoop.
gone right back. Forsey makes him fumble, but they said he was
Yeah,
down.
that was...
Forsey hurt his wrist on that play.
Really?
Yeah, and he was done for the day. Well, Nick, come in there and take it. Forsey ran off. He had a bad wrist. This guy's laying there. I think the guy might have been. Is that you, Broderick?
Yeah. Just missed that guy. Just missed him.
That's a good catch by that kid, wasn't it? Good
Pretty
concentration.
good.
Just got the first down. Hey, there's
There's
Bill
our
Shepard.
man, Bill
groundskeeper.
Shepard.
Good shot.
Shep does a good job, doesn't he?
Great
Never
job.
seen him without that red and white hat on.
Oh,
You?
that's right.
Yeah,
So
huh?
well, this guy.
You know, he and Walt and those guys over in that building, they do a good job for us over there. Glenn Abbott does a good job in our building. He and Mark, we have some good people to work for the athletic department. He's
Out
out
of
of
bounds.
bounds.
That's what makes it work.
Of course, that, you know, you go see Walt about a set of gloves or anything, my God, you think you'd have to get an act of Congress. And then you notice I keep in touch because I just saw Leroy miss one there.
Ooh.
Well, we're going to work on that this week. We're going to tackle that sled kill. We get it done right. This was our 1 punt return, wasn't it?
You didn't have to punt.
No.
Crooker had a day off.
Day off, yeah.
Blakeman gets 11. Oh, he runs hard, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Carpenter. A lot of teams
Who's it?
very envious of the running backs that we have, John.
Well, you know, you go out, you recruit them.
You got Jones, you got Knox.
Look at Knox. Look at Jones.
You got Heibel, you got Carpenter. We haven't even talked about the...
Tyrese ran tough there. Just
Yep.
get up there and bang him, Tyrese. You know, he's a big back. He's, what, 220?
Well, he's slim.
Well, I'll tell you, if Smitty wouldn't have slipped there, it would have been
Mhm.
exciting, wouldn't it? What are you doing now, Kevin? Sitting over there drinking water, huh?
I'm holding a glass of water right now. They put us on ice after the last
series.
I think John
That's enough.
McCormick's the only starter that's in there right now.
Who?
John McCormick's the only one that's in there right now that I saw.
Does George Sullivan believe in any of these additives? You just drink water. You drink any
They got something in there. I think it's just food coloring.
food
You know, he just tries to keep us happy, you know.
Ooh, that's close. Yeah, Smitty thought he did.
Of course, did you ever see a receiver that wasn't interfered with? Huh? Never.
So Bill Babor had a good block there on the defensive end.
Help me with some of those
Newbert
guys.
was
See,
open
Derek,
on this pass, but he just a little bit behind. Slow.
John Nelson's in there right now.
John Nelson
Derek,
and Derek Green's in there.
I think Jeff
That's
Anderson's in
Babor
there.
there, 69, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Look out.
Oh, watch out. What happened there, Kevin? Somebody didn't come backside?
Yeah, we had a little trouble backside, it looked like, and quarterback kind of held up there. instead of
Everybody
keep-
can see those
kept going.
coming with the quarterback.
Yeah, he's the one that's going to pay.
Yeah.
There's Murray making a play. He had a good ball game. He really did.
Now,
He played
middle
well.
guard is very important, of course, against a team like
Well, yeah,
Oklahoma.
well,
and you got a big one like Pete, you got a little stubby one like Murray. How are they going to do?
Yeah, they're going to do all right, but you see, when they have big splits in a line like that, those guys have got to help us. And they did a good job. Now we checked off right here into another defense, which we got right. And we had 3 guys on there, Marco and
Murray was
Boss
in there again.
Hogg and Murray. Here we go again. They must spend half their practice working on fake punts.
Looks like the whole offense right there.
This wasn't good.
Ooh.
This could have been a touchdown.
Who got that? Number 4, Jackson?
Yeah, Jackson got it.
Wow.
Yeah, he really went after that ball.
I thought
Leroy
that was gone.
walked away, then I knew we were in good shape. First down, White.
Okay. Well, you just wanted to set up a 97-yard
play.
drive, John. Tyrese booms
This is
out.
our last score, isn't it?
Yeah. Tyrese booms out for 17.
97 yards, and
Keith Jones had 240. Tyrese had 118 on this game.
is that right?
Steve Taylor had 96.
It's nice for a backfield average.
Sure is.
Just about 100 yards a man.
You had 666 total yards, John. Let's see if you remember what's the most total yards you ever had in Nebraska.
I know we had against New Mexico State. It was 700 and some.
883, I think
Oh
it was.
my God, that's a year. My Thermopolis Bobcats didn't make that much in a year.
I'd hate to be on that defense. They did that one.
And you know something, L.C. Cole, one of the assistant coaches at Kansas State played for us here, was down in New Mexico State at the time.
I think that's it. As I remember, it set some kind of an NCAA record for yards gained rushing without a loss. He had like 660-some yards without a loss.
It was a hot day, too.
Of course, the score was
Kevin would have died in that one.
68.
Kevin, how'd you feel when we down in Arizona State?
I was
You lose
hurting
some
there
weight?
for about a week. I dropped about 15 pounds in that game. I played like 84 snaps, and I was hurting
That's a
bit.
lot of snaps.
They played a whole lot of football down there.
That was nice, though, winning down there.
Oh, it was real nice winning. It was a hard-fought game.
83. Is that McCoy? They had interference, but of course the gain was 18, so they'll take the play. Let's take another look at it here. Tim McCoy will catch on to it here. Newbert says I'm open too.
Oh, yeah. That's a good catch by that kid. That guy's hanging all over.
Should have been pass interference.
Well,
Let's see, you got Sam Schmidt in here running now.
Yeah.
Fullback.
is that your leg popped in?
My ankle.
My goodness. What's wrong with it?
A little sore right now. Get a little treatment, I'll be fine.
Brother
You're not
just
gonna miss
cracking
this
his
game.
kneecap over
Yeah,
there.
I tell you what, you're not going to miss this game, Bobby. They'd have to shoot you to miss this game.
Jim says he heard that in the control room.
Shoot me and lock me up.
That was Skadowski pitching the Harkle Road. Started using everybody here.
Yeah, we had them running in and out. We must have played 100 guys again. I think Tom, I don't think he wanted to put it on Jimmy too bad. You know, Jimmy was an assistant here.
Well over 100 players. 106 maybe.
You know, we'd have scored in every opportunity we had. And we don't substitute. This could have been embarrassing.
Dalton gets one. Second goal.
They didn't substitute hardly throughout the whole game. They still got their same guys in
I
there.
don't think
they
we have
started with.
anybody substitute. There's Godowski going in.
Yep.
Mark Antonetti leading them through.
Yeah. Oh, Mark, the Notre Dame wizard, huh?
Yeah.
And Schnitzler will come in and
Smith
kick the
looks
extra
good
point.
here. He looks like a pro kicker. Look at
One
him.
of the few straight-ahead kickers left.
Yeah.
Makes it 42. Iowa State failed on a fake punt a little bit later, and Nebraska took over. And a lot of people like Godowski and Kittrell and Yonk and Preston and Clare and Ochola and Dalton all got in the game.
I was congratulating Tom there. See, he has more victories now than Bud Wilkerson.
That's right.
Right?
He
know,
and
that's
Barry are
quite-
still tied, aren't
There
they,
he is.
Broderick?
Oh, God. Broderick, what are you
Now,
doing?
what do you got?
Just holding up a little top. Having fun.
Keith Jones,
Our
a
house,
couple of
huh?
fans
Yeah.
there. Catherine Clayton.
There's a cute little baby
Yeah.
there.
Well, it was far from cute as far as Iowa State was concerned. 666 total yards. They only got 62. John, you're doing a great job. holding the rushing yardage down under
Yeah,
100.
but you know what happens? See, our offense, they get ahead, and then they force them to pass the ball, and then we get a few sacks, and that really knocks down on the running.
Oh, wow.
I think we're second in the nation or something. We were first last week. I don't know how Michigan State got ahead of us.
Well, Kevin Leitner and Broderick Thomas are our player guests here today. Kevin, you, a senior, playing your last year, you came over from Adams Central, walked on, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
What about, how'd that evolve? When did you get the scholarship?
I got the scholarship about 3 years ago, but coming out of high school, we weren't very successful. We only won 1 game in 3 years when I was there.
Is that right? You don't
no one.
Did you see why you didn't get a scholarship?
No
I
one,
mean,
I didn't get
that's
too
all right.
much exposure though. No one really took a look at me, but I came up here as a linebacker originally, and I came up at 2:30, and like the second day I was at offensive guard.
Wow. Well, and it's
it
all
didn't take us long, did it?
No, indeed. And it's been a great year, of course. You played with the team. I know in '85, I thought you played with a heck of a team that averaged about 374 yards. I was just looking, John, this team is averaging 390 yards rushing a game.
Well, I think it's our finest offense since I've been here. I know we really feel good about the offensive line this year. I think we're good all the way across, all five players, and we got some outstanding backups that probably would be starting at other schools.
Well, we want the 390 and more against Oklahoma. What about Oklahoma? Broderick Thomas, a lot of folks are wondering what John is saying. Now, keep it under control. We don't want any bulletin board stuff.
No, Broderick is all right. Broderick knows he'll be all right.
You want to play?
Yeah, I want to play very badly, you know, just my sympathy goes out to Jamel and Lydell Carr. You know, I really wish those guys could have made the trip down to Lincoln, you know, because it's going to be very exciting, you know, so I just wish they wouldn't have missed this, you know. I wouldn't miss for anything in the world, you know. I'm just pleased that nothing like that happened to anyone on our team, you know, so we're just waiting.
You feel you're ready for the Oklahoma Wishbone?
Oh, we've been ready, you know. We're just waiting, you know, waiting on the days to go by, you know. That's
John, he says they're ready. You're still practicing out there.
Yeah.
We're practicing, but, you know,
Yeah,
we're
we're
ready,
practicing, yeah. And believe me, we will continue to practice.
I think so.
Yeah, because we want to keep them busy.
What about your famous uncle there? Has he had any comments with you on this, Mike Singletary?
Well, I really haven't talked to Mike lately. You know, Mike has been very busy, you know, with the strike, and now his team's not doing so well. You know, they've been coming from behind to win the last 2 or 3 weeks, so
He's got enough to think about.
Yeah, I'm letting him handle his own problems right now before I throw mine on him, so I'm just taking it easy. I'll talk to him when it's over.
Have your parents or friends been able to see any in person up here this year?
Yeah, my father's been like 4 or 5 games. He's been to Arizona State, and he's been just driving. He has a new camper, so he's been driving, trying to burn it, drive his camper to death. So I'm just trying to hold him off. They'll be down to Oklahoma game, you know. So.
Now, you've been watching, you were telling me you're majoring in industrial arts, and you've been watching the new field house going up.
Yeah.
You want a job like that, building?
I wouldn't like to build. I'd just like to go out and manage, you know, and tell people what I'd like done and how fast, you know, how to put the building up.
In other words, you don't want to work, is that what
right.
you...
I just wanna be
I
boss.
see it, yeah.
This guy has ability to direct people.
It's nice to be the boss, you know.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That's right. That's why John's the coach.
But, you know, before you become boss, you know, you're not going to start as the boss.
Kevin, you're a recreation major. You want to coach? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'd like to coach someday. Football open up a lot of opportunities for me. Hopefully I will be able to coach and maybe get in a fitness center or something like that.
Right. John, isn't something guys like, you know, a 285-pounder back when you played, even in college, was unusual. Today they're common.
Yeah, you'll see a bunch of them when Oklahoma comes out here, yeah.
A bunch of wide bodies.
Oh, yeah, their numbers look like they're little numbers on them. But
Now, in about a minute's time, tell me about your preparation for Oklahoma. Is it any different Oklahoma than we've seen in the past? Different wishbone? What?
No, it's the same Oklahoma. They run the same plays, and they run them well. They run a lot of formation. You'd be surprised. You know, people think that they just sit in the wishbone, but they run a lot of formations. Listen, losing the quarterback and the fullback hasn't really, you know, the fullback against Okie State got 190 yards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it didn't look like we were playing with Sisters of the Poor there for a while, but, oh, God, it's exciting. It really is. And I tell you what, I can hardly wait, because I'll tell you, we're going to play good.
Hey,
I promise you, we are going to play good.
Well, John, you've done, as we mentioned earlier, you've done everything to be a national champion. You've got to stay free of injuries, and you've done pretty well. You've got to, of course, play well. You've got to have the players you have it, and you've got to have an amount of luck. You've had that. And you've got, the schedule has been perfect. You're coming right up. You've had a week off. And And here you have it.
Our destiny's in front of us.
That's
I
right.
mean, it's in our own hands. We don't have to count on anybody, beat anybody.
Before you leave, fellas, sign the football, because that's we've got a lot of great names on there this year. Our thanks to Kevin Leitner from Hastings, to Broderick Thomas from Houston. Fellas, good luck in the biggest game maybe in your lives, and we'll be hanging on. As John, good luck in this one.
Thank you.
The whole state of Nebraska and fans all around the country are going to be crossing their fingers right with you. Should be an outstanding game, and we'll have it for you coming up the following week. So we'll see you then. Coming up next on Oil, we'll meet the millionaires who become wealthy through the oil business. Years ago, these tycoons made their money by drilling oil wells. But today, more oil is being bought and sold through the stock market. Stay with us and learn more about tomorrow's oil millionaires.
Are #1 no more. The first college football poll of the week is out. Here is the CNN USA Today Top 25. Nebraska moves into the top spot with 20 first-place votes. Sooners are second. These rankings mean little to these two guys because they're going to be meeting next week. They'll settle things on the field. The Huskers are a 4-point favorite, according to CNN college football analyst Danny Sheridan. UCLA, an 8-point pick over USC. The Bruins are 5th. That's a game to decide the Pac-10 title. Notre Dame is 6th. They will take on Penn State. The Irish, a 6-point favorite. Auburn, they are 8th. They can clinch a spot in the Sugar Bowl with a win over Alabama. Michigan State jumps up to number 11 following the Spartans' impressive win over Indiana. Texas A&M is 15th. Hoping for their 3rd straight Southwestern Conference title. The Aggies will need a win over Texas on Thanksgiving to accomplish that. Alabama and Indiana drop after big losses over the weekend. Pittsburgh back in the top 25 after the victory over Penn State. Florida also back, even though the Gators have 4 losses. Gary?
Next to the NBA, where Saturday night the Pacers pulled. You can see my tennis shoes. This is a great new facility, but we'll talk about that a little later on in the show. But let's talk a little bit about the game and what you have to do to get ready for it. There are a lot of demands on your time, aren't there?
Well, I think it's very fortunate from the standpoint of media coverage that we had 2 weeks. You know, it seems kind of silly to say it, but I think that there's going to be a lot of people in covering the game, a lot of demand for players' time and coaches' time. And as a result, it seems like the bigger the game, the less time you actually have to spend on football. So I think the extra week will help us in that regard. I think we're pretty well prepared already. We've had 4 or 5 good practices, and certainly we can polish some things up. And I think this next week will help us. But we came through that open week without any injuries, which I think was important. And even though you don't have a lot of scrimmaging, a lot of contact, you can go out in sweat clothes and have a couple guys run together, or somebody pull a hamstring, and so you always keep your fingers crossed anytime you got your players on the field. And I think our coaches have done a good job of zeroing in on Oklahoma, and I think the players know pretty well what they have to do.
Well, Tom, of course, the same thing is true on the other side of the field. And when we come back, we hear from their head man, Barry Switzer.
Give us a great rate. Give us a cash rebate. Now, when you open or renew a certificate of deposit at Occidental, Nebraska, you get a hot interest rate and a pocket full of cold, hard cash as well. Great rate and a cash rebate. Use it any way you choose. Bills, holiday cash, mad money. Add it to your initial deposit if you like. The rate, the rebate. Great rates, cash rebate, only at Occidental, Nebraska.
Chevy's been blowing their horn a lot lately, but what do you really want in a truck? Power, size, payload. And the Ford F-Series still delivers what a real truck buyer wants. Bigger engine, bigger payload. Plus, Ford has been the best-built American truck for 7 years. And you've got your reasons for buying a truck. I've got mine.
Get $500 factory cash back on selected F-150s, only at your local Ford dealer.
On the old-style label, you can read exactly what we believe in. We believe a beer should only be brewed with pure artesian spring water. That a beer should be fully krausened and naturally carbonated. A beer that is pure and genuine with nothing artificial. But if you really want to believe, try what's on the inside. Old Style. A beer you can believe in.
There is something new at BLN Investment Corp.
Say, have you seen my cup?
Isn't it right there on the shelf?
You still get the extra effort and investment service that you've come to expect.
There's something different about this cup.
we're just changing our name to Emeritus Investment Corp.
That's good.
Emeritus Investment Corp. Still represented throughout Nebraska with offices in Lincoln and Omaha.
Tom, yesterday Oklahoma played Missouri. I personally thought that they would score a lot of points against Missouri and win easily, but it wasn't that way, was it?
No, I was able to listen to most of the game on the radio, and I was, like you, a little bit surprised, although, you know, when we went down and played Missouri after looking at their films, particularly their games with Syracuse and their film against Indiana, both of whom are good football teams, and also Oklahoma State, I thought Missouri had a very good football team, and I was amazed at the final score, you know, 42-7. I thought it'd be 28-21, 21-17, you know, that we'd win it. And so I don't know whether we caught Missouri on an off day or we just were particularly on. But I think also the fact that Oklahoma obviously wasn't too excited about playing Missouri, I think, was a factor. I don't think Oklahoma played that well. They've made a lot of the fact that Holloway didn't play. But I would say that Oklahoma offensively played about the same kind of football game against Oklahoma State that they did against Missouri. And Holloway played all but a couple snaps in that game. I think Holloway himself was involved in about 2 or 3 turnovers, and of course Anderson had some turnovers in that Oklahoma State game. And actually the Oklahoma offense scored, I believe, only 16 points against Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State scored 10 points against them, and then right at the end they had 2 interceptions. But Holloway, you know, really played that whole ball game. So I don't think you can point to the fact that they've got a different quarterback as being all that critical, although I'm sure that's something that's a factor in the game.
Well, Tom, I know this week through satellite coverage and everything else, you've seen a lot of Barry Switzer. How's the conversation been going?
Well, you know, there's nothing real exciting about it. He's got a bum leg right now, so I'm healthier than Barry, and I hope that's a factor in the game. I know I'm quicker than he is. I don't know about the rest of the whole thing, but overall, I think our relationship is good. We both are professional people. We've got a job to do, and there's really no animosity between me and Barry Switzer, or I think between the two teams. I think that both teams have a lot of tradition. Both teams have a lot of confidence. Both teams have a lot of great athletes, and that's how it's going to be decided.
Well, as Tom said, Barry agrees. Both teams have great athletes and great players. How would you compare this Nebraska team with last year's Nebraska team?
I think it's a better football team this year. I think they've got more speed on defense, and I think their offense, with Taylor having a year of maturity and playing well this year, I think they're a much better offensive football team.
And what about Oklahoma?
Well, I think we thought this was going to be our best offensive football team. I think we play well. We have the unknown factor of what Charles Thompson will do now, but Jamel Holloway and Lydell Carr and our other cast of players on offense made this the best offensive football team we've had in a long time. And defensively, we're a good football team. We're not a dominating team, but we're a team that can run and play, and we've got good players.
Nebraska's going to see a different offense now that Jamel's out and Charles is in?
Oh, I don't think so. We can't change. Charles runs the whole package, and we've got confidence in him. He won't be limited in what he does. I don't think he can take the pounding that Jamel takes. So, you know, I think that we'll have to do some things to protect him somewhat, but at the same time, our game is to run the option, and Charles Thompson can run the option. But you ought to let me say that, well, he's going to edit this anyway. He wouldn't put it on there. I was going to say that I think that they ought to hold Steve Taylor and Keith Jones out and make this thing even. Hold out their number 1 and 2 rushers. Don't you think?
Well, Tom, Barry's suggestion might seem fair to him, but I don't agree with it. How about you?
Well, not necessarily, no. But I think a lot has been made of those 2 players, and they're certainly great players. I know Oklahoma is going to miss them, but you know, you think back to the game with South Carolina, and we were playing in that game, and we were behind, and Steve Taylor was knocked out of the ball game middle third quarter, and we finished up with Clete Blakeman and came back and won the game. And also at that time, Keith Jones was playing, but he was playing hurt. And it wasn't too many years ago that we went down to Norman without Turner Gill at quarterback and played with Mark Maurer and won the ball game. And at that time, I don't think anybody decided that Oklahoma ought to drop their number 1 quarterback out of the ball game. So, you know, the injuries are part of the ball game, and I'm really sorry that, in a sincere way, that both Carr and Holloway are not playing in the ball game because I think our players would like to win with them at their very best, but their defense is intact, and their defense leads the nation in most categories. They have said publicly that their offensive line, they don't think there's anybody in the Big Eight that could come in and start for them in their offensive line. Their halfbacks are back. The quarterback yesterday was just as productive as Holloway has been. He rushed for over 100 yards. He threw maybe a little bit better than Holloway's been throwing. And Rodney Anderson is a very, very fine runner. He has been dropping the ball a little bit. So I don't think Oklahoma is losing all that they're saying they're losing. You know, I think they're still a very, very good football team, and the only thing that they're going to miss is in a big ball game, the experience that Holloway's had. But, you know, sometimes you have to play that way.
Tom, we talked a little bit about the hype for the game, I guess you could call that. But now in the stadium, we've got everything going. We got the red towels that they're waving all over, and then we got the white towels. And now, last week, we had the keys to Broderick's house. We got everything in the stadium.
Well, there's a lot of commercialization certainly going on, and it's interesting. I read an article in the paper not long ago that said that tickets were going for $100 to $200 to $250 for this ball game. And
let me see where mine are.
You may not even come. You're going to scalp yours and tape it off the TV set. But anyway, the point I was going to make is that you know, there was a time probably 20, 25 years ago where players benefited somewhat from a game like this. You know, they had tickets and they sold them. And now you've got students on the campus who are selling their tickets, you know, advertising in the paper. And the guys that are putting the people in there, you know, can't, you know, they can't even bring somebody in on a pass unless they're parents or fellow students here at the University of Nebraska. It's kind of interesting contrast. And, but that's just the way it is right now. But players are not really in as good a shape, I think, financially as most people think. You know, most college football players don't have much money. But as it is, a lot of interest in the game, and certainly a lot of people are trying to find an angle to make a dollar, and I guess that's all right as far as I'm concerned.
Tom, we've talked a lot about Nebraska's possibilities of winning a national championship. Well, the kids who gave the keys to Broderick, that is to Broderick's house, they won a national championship, and they say Nebraska can win theirs too.
I think the keys mean that we've got the keys to our house and nobody else is going to get in. We're going to get the national championship this year, and nobody else is even going to come close.
This group of kids, coached by Mike Evans, won the national championship for 11 and 12-year-olds in baseball. And Mike says the keys are being sold to raise money to help other youth play baseball.
We're taking the funds from this program and trying to help the disadvantaged youth in the city of Omaha, and trying to get the talented youth and be able to bring back something so that all the young kids in the city have an opportunity to play baseball or football or basketball, whatever the sport is, and financial problems won't be the difference for not playing.
The crowd has been so quiet for the past, couple games or something, and I think this will really motivate the fans to get into the game and behind the team and support the university.
Who's out? 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 Who's out?
Broderick, it looks like you've lost your house to a group of kids, but at least you still get to practice there. And when we come back, we'll talk to Tom about the week of practice preparing for Oklahoma.
Squeeze those lemons, chop those herbs. Off that chicken, it's superb. Shrimp on the grill, broiled and basted. It's the best I've ever tasted. Chicken and shrimp, together they're great. Now at Sizzler, one special taste. Sizzler, chicken and shrimp together. Chicken and shrimp, it's a Sizzler.
Ford is winning the world over, Ashley Ford is winning over Omaha. Over 550 new cars and trucks, all available with no down payment and no payments till February. Cars, trucks, front-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, we've got them. Plus all remaining 87 Tauruses, $2,000 discount. 87 full-size trucks, $2,000 discount. Plus 500 cash back. Even special quality used cars, $99 down, $99 a month. Don't miss no down payment, no payments till February. Now at Ashley Ford, the big store.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Carry the caring card. Maybe someday you'll be in an office where everything is as reliable as a Centron communication system. Your staff.
Oh, we'd love to stay late and finish that 300-page report.
Your delivery system.
You'll get it yesterday.
Even your coffee will be reliable. But until then, a Centron communication system is about as close to perfection as you're going to get. On this earth, Centron, America's most relied-on business communication system.
Well, Tom, we had one full week of practice. How did that week go for you?
I think it went very well. I think sometimes you're a little worried about the players getting so hyped up by a game like this and going out and having a great week of practice a week early. And I think it was a good week of practice, but I don't think anybody was overly excited. And, you know, they were trying to get through it, but they were also trying to learn what they were doing. And so it was at a level that I was comfortable with. I think everybody did well, but they didn't do too well. You know, you don't want to get too sharp too soon. And so I think we're about where we want to be. And the big thing, of course, was we did not get people hurt. We had some one-on-one blocking, some contact. We were in full pads 2 days and helmets and shoulder pads 2 days, and then sweat clothes on Saturday morning. So, and we did quite a bit of running, you know, and weightlifting. So it was kind of a fair amount of conditioning, and then some pretty good solid practice as well.
Well, we talk about that practice, and I know there's always that danger and the question of holding out key players or not practicing key players. It's quite a dilemma between keeping players sharp and practicing them, isn't it?
Well, it is, and we were going to scrimmage on Friday, and we had all kinds of people calling wanting to come to practice, and they would call and give our secretaries a hard time. It was closed, you know. I mean, golly, if you're going to practice, we don't have the pro scouts in right now. And so I hope people understood that we can't do that, because you put something new in and some guy goes and tells a friend in his office, and that friend calls Norman, and that doesn't help you. So we did keep it closed down, but we really debated about what to do with our backs, and we finally ended up going live up front in the line and then telling the scout team defense against our first offense just to wrap the backs up, not to tackle them, because Keith Jones still banged up a little bit, so was Tyrese Knox, and so was Kenny Clark, and so was John Kelly. So the first four backs got something wrong with them. And defensively about the same way. You know, we went about 85–90%, so we didn't have any full go and didn't put the backs on the ground and came through it healthy. But sometimes, you know, your lineman can get hurt. Just somebody's blocking and somebody rolls on his leg or his ankle. That's the way Neil Smith and that's the way Lee Jones both got hurt. Were practice injuries where we weren't going full speed. Just somebody fell on their legs. And fortunately, we avoided that.
Tom, it's helped to have 2 weeks, as you said, to prepare for Oklahoma. The emotional edge is very important in a ball game like this, and the Nebraska players say they think it's theirs.
Well, I think so. If we can stop their run, I think for sure they're going to have to go to the air, and that's something they don't want to do. And I think it's going to be important because, you know, we have a great defensive line, and we scramble, and we can get after people. Quarterbacks, you know, the guy's young. I don't know too much about him, but, you know, we have to rally him. And if we can get him to throw the ball, I think it's going to be in our advantage.
I don't want you to give away any secrets here, but I know certain people are assigned to kind of look at the fullback because that's the first option, and certain people are assigned to look at the halfback or the pitchman, and certain people the quarterback. What's your first assignment, and what do you sort of play into there?
Well, it all depends. If I'm in a forward technique, I always have the dive. And then if I'm playing a fire technique outside the shoulder of the offensive tackle, then I'm going to have the quarterback on the pitch. So it varies what defense I'm in. And the most important thing is to stop the fullback run first, because later in the game last year they pretty damn much hurt us with the fullback. You know, he was releasing and he was gaining 10 or more yards. So they this year we're gonna pretty much more like try to stop the fullback first and have him run outside, where you know that's where we have more speed at when we run lateral.
Speed on defense, the difference in the ball game, says Neal. But offensive line coach Milt Tinniper says he knows where the game is going to be won or lost.
Well, I don't think there's any question, you know, if we can handle their tackles defensively or our offensive kids can, we're going to be able to run our offense, and I think Barry knows that, and we know that, and our kids will be ready for them.
Well, you look at the guy up in the stands, right, and you're going to give him a clue now to what's going to happen early on in the ballgame. I mean, if he sees something happening early on in the ballgame, he'll know Nebraska will kind of be all right. And what is that?
Movement on the line. If we can get our basic things going, our pitches and ISOs and traps, if we can have some success with that early, then our kids are going to be hard to stop. So if we get some 8, 9, 10-yard games, we're going to be in a good ball game.
So if he kind of sees that whole line going backwards, the pile going in your direction, we'll be all right, right?
Well, that's what we hope. You bet.
John Nickel has done a lot of reports from the sideline. He's done reports with the cheerleaders, opposing fans, and he's let the fans call the play. Well, this time, John has really got himself in a sticky situation, and we'll take a look at that when we come back.
During the past 5 weeks, I've watched the KM3 Warm Hearts.
Members of the media around the Big 8 made Oklahoma the overwhelming choice to win the conference title this season. Now, with the Big 8 title up for grabs in this week's game, it appears the media is having a change of heart. In our informal poll, we found that most of the sports writers and sportscasters are picking the Huskers to win this Saturday.
I see Nebraska just playing a lot better than Oklahoma the later part of the season. The Huskers in full gear are playing flawless football. The Sooners struggling on offense, a veteran team, but just struggling right now. And I think they might have lost some confidence in the last couple of weeks.
And a score then?
I tell you what, I'm going to try to be as objective as I can. I'm going to pick Nebraska to win the game, 17 to 14. I just think Nebraska's just playing better at this stage of the season. The game's in Lincoln.
If Oklahoma plays the way they did against Missouri last Saturday, Oklahoma will be in for a long day. But I think Sooners will regroup, get ready for a game that means the Big 8 championship and a possibility to go play for the national championship. So I think both teams will be prepared. I like Oklahoma, 17 to 14.
It always seems like in the great Nebraska-Oklahoma games, it always comes down to defense, and these are two teams that have probably the two greatest defenses in the country. So I think it'll be a low-scoring game. Probably the team that makes the fewest number of turnovers is going to win it, and I've got too many wonderful friends and family in Nebraska to pick against them, so I say Chris Drennan this year will get the revenge and kick the 31-yarder with 6 seconds to go like Tim Lasher did last year, and it'll be Nebraska 17, Oklahoma 14.
Well, Nebraska handled the Oklahoma wishbone fairly well last year with only 10 points until the final 4 minutes when things kind of fell apart. I think the Huskers can hold them down, and I think the Nebraska offense is so diversified that the Huskers will score. Nebraska 28, Oklahoma 17.
I have thought all year that Oklahoma was going to win, and after the injuries last week, I'm kind of hedging a little bit, but I still think they'll win. I think Barry is going to use the injuries as a great motivational tool. I'd say OU 17 to 15.
I see it as a difference in defense. I think Nebraska has a defensive edge. I think Nebraska may have a little trouble catching up with Charles Thompson, though. And Oklahoma's going to probably stretch that defense as far as it's been stretched this year. I think Nebraska may have a little trouble running against Oklahoma. They'll have to go to the passing game. That'll decide the game.
So your prediction?
24-21.
Who?
Just 24-21.
Well, I think it definitely has the chance to be another game of the century. I think you got two great teams, two great offenses, and two great defenses. People have talked that since Holloway's out, maybe that gives Nebraska the edge, but I think Barry Switzer made a good point when he said Oklahoma can still play defense, and as long as they can do that, they'll be in the game. As far as a prediction, I think maybe this might be Nebraska's year to hold on and win one at the end, so I'm going to pick Oklahoma to lose 20 to 17.
Well, Jeff, I think it's going to be one of those classic games with two great teams, two great offenses, two great defenses. I think it's with Holloway and Carr injured, that takes a little bit of the edge off of it, but it'll still be a super game. Come down to mistakes, I think, and the team that makes the turnover or something at the end, or have the penalty like last year when Nebraska had the face mask penalty. But this year I think it'll be different. I think Nebraska will win 24-21.
I think Nebraska's going to win the game simply because I think that Oklahoma is going to have a tougher time moving the ball on Nebraska than Nebraska will have moving it on Oklahoma. Nebraska's defense is as good as I've seen it. It's particularly strong against the rush, and Oklahoma's got to rush the ball to win. And I'll say 27-10, 27-13 in that neighborhood.
In Game of the Century 1 in 1971, Nebraska beat Oklahoma.
After 4 decades of thousands of miles of tape, taping can get tiring.
Well, I've been tired of that from the beginning, but somebody has to, I guess.
It's got to be done.
It's got to be done.
Pretty routine stuff.
Pretty routine.
They have 4 full-timers down here, 7 students learning the taping trade, and another 3 up in the visitors' locker, helping them tape. A lot of tape dollars each time.
Disregarding all the other bandages, just made adhesive tape and elastic tape be around $85,000 worth of tape. That's for all sports, of course.
That's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of miles. A lot of tape companies like our accounts.
It is a time to slow these fast feet down, to take a minute to talk, and trade a few tales in the tape room.
Some social commentary going on, and, you know, you hear the latest jokes.
Have you heard any good ones?
Good and bad, not usually, no.
I bet you see some ugly feet here, huh?
Smelly feet, too.
I think I told our people. It may all look the same, but the art of taping is changing. New ideas, new products, always looking for the latest in tape technology to prevent the injury.
I've been in this 30 years.
30? You ought to know how to do it by now, huh?
Well, I'm trying to teach this to some of our students from time to time. I don't know whether they get it done right or not. What do you think? Does that feel about right? Good.
Jack, you got to make up your mind, man. You can't be taping me 1 week and the next week you don't. You got to be here for OU, man.
The players develop a taping favorite among the tapers, and a considerable order to how the tape is tacked on.
If Jerry wasn't here, I don't think I'd get taped. It's just one of those things. Always my right ankle first, my left ankle second.
There's an order to it, too.
Oh, yeah. I might not have been. Look at this. This is my show. This is my house.
George. Well, by now, George has earned the privilege to watch the taping and take a time to talk about where his taping days could have taken him.
Oh, I've looked at a couple other places when they contact me, but this is by far the only place I ever wanted to raise my family, so this had to stay here.
There's no place like Nebraska.
No place like Nebraska, right. This is it.
He says all the other old taper trainers have passed on to other things. Only Freddie Waffle of Missouri is in the same range anymore, he says. But I say certainly not the same class. George is in one by himself and plans to stay, taping and training.
Till they kick me out, my fingers and arthritis get too bad more than I want to. But this way I'm getting to see the grandchildren already, so.
A few more rolls.
A few more rolls of tape.
So if we stand here and tape this taping, George keeps taking the tape and taping it to the ankles of these football players in time for the game. $85,000 worth of tape wrapped around the ankles of football players does have a way of kind of sticking around. Dan?
Tom, it looked like there John Nickel was mummifying himself, taping himself all up there at the end. I tell you, the miles and miles of tape that George Sullivan has put on people is absolutely remarkable. He is really something for this program, isn't he?
Well, George does a great job, and I think he really cares about the players, and his job is difficult because he's got to be about half psychiatrist, you know. When a guy thinks he's hurt, sometimes he isn't hurt. Sometimes he's got to drive him a little bit, make him get out in the field. Sometimes he's got to hold their hand a little bit. And so he does a good job of working with the players overall, and we really appreciate the role that he takes. He's a very hard worker, very professional guy, and I think it costs us about $500 a day to put a team on the field. Can you imagine that just for tape alone? So you see then why those tickets cost as much as they do.
Well, maybe I could get into this tape concession here. You think I could get that for you?
You're into everything else, you might as well.
Well, Tom, when we come back, we're going to take a look back at some of the Oklahoma-Nebraska games, especially last year's game.
Great moments in Husker.
Open the door. Open the door.
9 bottles of beer on the wall.
Oh, Jerry. Jerry.
Yeah, Dick.
Would you like to hear one of my fairy tales?
German engineering. It's not yards. The Huskers led 7-0, but the Sooners fought back through the air to lead 17-14 at the half. A third-quarter Husker drive ended with Jeff Kenny scoring to give Nebraska a 28-17 lead. In the fourth quarter, the Sooners went ahead 31-28. Then, with less than 2 minutes left, Nebraska, led by Kenny and Jerry Taggy, drove 74 yards with Kenny scoring to win the game. The game of the century, a great moment in Husker history. Brought to you by the law offices of Ronald J. Palagi. We're on your side.
I'm C.W. McCall for Werner Enterprises. You know, there's a lot to be said about being on a winning team, recognition and all its benefits, but most of all, it's the pride. At Werner, that pride is apparent in everything we do, and what we do best is trucking. If you're looking for a dynamic, rewarding career change or the opportunity to move to a winning team, you need to consider the opportunity at Werner.
For further information, call 1-800-247-9008.
Every year, it comes down to one game. The Oklahoma Sooners versus the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And when these two tee it up, it always means war. It's Nebraska versus Oklahoma in the Battle of the Big Reds. And News Center 3 Sports will present a special one-hour preview of the game. Join Terry Yeager Friday night at 7 for comments from the head coaches and a look at key matchups. Kick off the battle for #1 with the Big Red pregame show, Friday night at 7 on KM3.
Tom, you can go back to the 20s, to the 30s, to the 40s. It seems like every time Nebraska and Oklahoma play, it's a very, very important game, especially for the conference, and then also nationally every time they play.
Well, I think that's particularly been true for the last 25 years. You know, I remember coming down here a few times when I was in high school, junior high school in the 50s, where it wasn't a monumental event, but overall, it's been a very important series, and I think in recent history, the last 20, 25 years, there have been very few rivalries like USC, UCLA, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Pittsburgh, and so on that have held up as well as this one. You know, it seems like almost every one of those rivalries has gone through a period of 4, 5, 6 years where one team or the other was down and it wasn't that good a game. But in this series, for the most part, it's been a very significant game almost every one of those years.
I know all year long, as far as the players are concerned, the coaches, and even yourself, you've shown a great deal of confidence when asked about playing Oklahoma this year. And I'm just guessing, but I think maybe a little of that came in the contest last year. You played them extremely well. You were ahead. They came back at the end and won the ball game, but you did a good job in playing them last year.
I think we played them very tough. I think that, to be real honest with you, I think Oklahoma 2 years ago in '85 had a better football team than we did. Last year, they probably had a little edge. It was close, so, and, you know, by intensity and emotion and so on, we could very well have won the game, probably in some respects should have won the game. And it came down to a couple calls, a couple big plays that Oklahoma executed, a couple of goof-ups on our part. But we played well enough to win. And in '84, we probably had a little better football team than Oklahoma, and we lost it, you know. And then we had 3 years in a row where we were better, and we won. And I think since about 1980, it's been very, very even. We've won about as many as we've lost. And both teams have been, I think, right at the pinnacle of college football. I think Nebraska and Oklahoma between them, probably most of those 6 or 7 years have been, one or the other has been the top team in the country.
Let me ask you a question. It could be a little tough for you to answer simply because of the political reasons of it going into this ball game. But we mentioned the end of last year's ball game, and that was their tight end Jackson. We haven't heard as much about Jackson this year as we did last year going into this ball game. Do you think there's some reasons for that? Is it the way they played their offense or what?
Well, Keith Jackson is still a great football player. I think most people feel he's the best tight end in the game today at the college level. He's had some injuries this year, and there was one game I think they held him out entirely, and a couple other games where he played sparingly. And I think that slowed him down a little bit. And then, you know, it was like Tom Banderas last year. Tom played probably only 3 or 4 games full speed. He missed 4 or 5, and he missed 2 or 3 where he was just part speed. Now this year, Tom has played very, very well and has been a tremendous football player for us. But, you know, just a little nagging injuries make a big difference to a player. And I think Jackson has had some of that this year. And I think lately, the last couple, 3 games, he's played most of the game and appears to be full speed again.
Tom, there's been a lot of talk about 2 players and the loss of those 2 players as far as Oklahoma is concerned. You and I both know that 2 players are not going to make or break this ball game. One thing that is important, though, and I think the loss will really hurt Oklahoma, is leadership at the quarterback position. We'll come back and find out about that young quarterback and his leadership abilities.
There is something new at BLN Investment Corp.
Say, have you seen my cup? Isn't it right there on the shelf?
You still get the extra effort and investment service that you've come to expect.
There's something different about this cup.
We're just changing our name to Emeritus Investment Corp.
That's good.
Emeritus Investment Corp. Still represented throughout Nebraska with offices in Lincoln and Omaha.
What do I believe in? Playing hard. Working hard. Rock and roll. My friends. My car. Joanne. And beer. Great beer.
At Old Style, we believe in brewing the best beer, not the most beer. And that makes Old Style a beer you can believe in.
A smile is still a smile.
He insists on making mountains out of molehills. He wants you to wear padded bras?
A slam is still a slam.
You're a bitter little person, aren't you?
Some things only get better as time goes by.
How's life in the fast lane, Normie?
Beats me, I can't find the on-ramp. Cheers. 5 times a week.
We're talking monster laughs.
Play it again, Sam.
Cheers. Weeknights at 10:30 on KM3.
When he was diagnosed with AIDS, he decided to move back to the hometown he knew and loved, but they no longer loved him. He was shot at and threatened, and when one day he decided to take a dip in the local swimming pool, the townspeople asked that he be arrested and the pool forever closed. On the next Oprah Winfrey Show, a dramatic, emotional return of the AIDS patient back to the town that no longer wants him.
Weekdays at 3:30 on KM3.
Barry said earlier, suggested that you hold 2 players out of the ball game. Well, I know 2 players are missing from his lineup, but this ball game is not going to be decided by 2 players.
No, I don't believe it will. I believe that the 2 players that everybody's focusing on right now are Charles Anderson, the quarterback, Charles Thompson rather, and Charles actually statistically I think was averaging a little bit better per rush than Jamel Holloway. I think he was rushing for almost 8 yards a snap prior to the Missouri game and had played a good deal, and of course had played the whole spring. Holloway had a broken thumb or something, and so Thompson was the #1 quarterback through spring ball, which I'm sure gave him a lot of time, a lot of confidence. And as I've looked at the films, I think that Rodney Anderson is probably just about as dangerous a runner as Lydell Carr. He's not quite as big, and of course the big factor has been that he's dropped the ball 5 times in the last 2 games. Lydell is capable of it, but he hasn't dropped it that frequently. So if Anderson drops the ball or not will be a critical question. I think Charles Thompson probably is every bit as good a thrower, if not better, than Holloway from what we've seen of him, and he has a little bit more speed. And the big question is how he will react in a big game. You know, whether the pressure of the game and the pressure of our defense will cause him to play better or will cause him to crumble a little bit, and that's something I don't think anybody knows. But in terms of physical talent, I don't think those 2 players cause them to drop off hardly at all. I think the physical talent is about the same. Their defense is intact. and they're #1 in the nation in 2 or 3 different categories. And they got most everybody back from last year except their linebackers, but the Dante Jones is as good as what they had. You know, the other one may not be, you know, as significant. And their halfbacks are good. They claim their offensive line is the best they've ever had. So I'll guarantee you that it's not like they don't have some players. And so it'll be interesting to see how it comes out.
Well, we mentioned, of course, and we've talked a lot about it, everybody else has the loss of Holloway, but I feel that that loss probably is more in leadership than it is anything else. Now, you mentioned their young quarterback. Will your defensive strategy be a little different early on or throughout the ball game to sort of go at him a little bit?
Well, I don't think when you play the wishbone that you can really decide to gang up on any one element of it, because if you really try to zero in on the quarterback and send people after the quarterback all the time, then fullback's going to hurt you or the pitch man is going to hurt you. So you still have to play sound defense. You got to play all 3 elements of the triple option. You got to have a couple people assigned to the fullback, a couple to the quarterback, and a couple to the pitch, and just hope that at least one of them doesn't get blocked. And then their passing game is very good. You know, they use Jackson a lot, particularly now that he's healthy. And I think Thompson, from what he did yesterday, what I heard on the radio, would indicate to me that he may be a little bit better thrower, and I guess I've read that in the paper, too, that they feel he's a better thrower than Holloway is.
Tom, all year long, when we've had a question that need to be answered about the other team, we've asked the guys who cover them on their level to answer that question for us. And this year, the question is answered by Robbie Robertson.
The first bit of bad news for Oklahoma concerned fullback Lydell Carr, who gained 17 yards on his first carry of the day, but played only 1 series before suffering a knee injury. There is a possibility Carr will be able to return for the Sooners' postseason bowl game. Picking up the slack for Carr was junior Rodney Anderson. On 30 carries, Anderson rushed for 191 yards. That is the best single-game effort by a Sooner running back this year. The worst bit of bad news came with 6 minutes to go in the game, when quarterback Jamel Holloway suffered a non-contact knee injury and will be lost not only for the rest of the year, but Holloway won't play again until next fall. With Holloway out, redshirt freshman Charles Thompson will now be the starting quarterback the rest of the year. Thompson does not have the experience of Holloway, but he does have talent and the confidence of the coaching staff.
No doubt about it. The kid believes in himself. Our players believe in him, and he's got to do it. There's no doubt about it. He's going to do it, too.
I've gained a lot of confidence in myself. You know, and the fact that I know now that the team, you know, they believe in me as a player and as a quarterback and as a team leader. And I just got to come forth and, you know, do the things that a quarterback here at OU is supposed to do, and that's win.
The OU coaching staff is confident Thompson can keep the Sooners winning for at least another week. They say if OU gets comfortably ahead of Missouri, Thompson will come out of the game to ensure he is healthy for the Nebraska game on November 21st. In Norman, this is Robbie Robertson reporting.
Tom, we're looking at the roof of the new facility, and I'm assuming that up there somewhere is where my sky booth will be. I tell you one thing, it is an impressive facility. You can punt it, you can pass it, you can kick it, and the most important thing, you practice out of the weather. We'll come back and look at it in just a moment.
Tom Osborne and Dan Livingston's wardrobe are furnished by Ben Simons, Omaha and Lincoln.
From Casio, the sports watch that's ready for action.
To 70% of the money.
Give me my keys. Get my
cushion. With the advent of the artificial heart, there are exciting prospects for the future. One advantage is there's no rejection, a problem that has always been a human transplant preoccupation. And with human heart donors able to fill just 5% of current needs.
It's a great rate. Give us a cash rebate.
Now, when you open or renew a certificate of deposit at Occidental, Nebraska, you get a hot interest rate and a pocket full of cold, hard cash as well.
Great rate and the cash rebate.
Use it any way you choose. Bills, holiday cash, mad money. Add it to your initial deposit if you like.
The rate, the rebate.
Great rates, cash rebate, only at Occidental, Nebraska.
If you had
all the experience of yesterday. With all the skill and innovation of today. You couldn't lose. Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Carry the caring card.
Squeeze those lemons, chop those herbs. Off that chicken, it's superb. Shrimp on the grill, broiled and basted. It's the best I've ever tasted. Chicken and shrimp, together they're great. Now at Sizzler, one special taste. Sizzler, chicken and shrimp together. Chicken and shrimp, it's a Sizzler.
Tom, as the audience can see behind us here, this is a marvelous new facility, and it really adds something to your overall program.
Well, I think it really does. I think it helped last year. We had a good recruiting class, and I think that just the idea that this building would be built was attractive to a lot of players. I don't think you could say that was the overriding reason why they came here, but I think it was one of the reasons they came. And of course, we're moving into that time of the year, and I would expect this next week that we probably will have at least 1 or maybe 2 days where we'll have subpar weather and we'll have to come inside. And, you know, I don't want to alibi too much, but I think in past years when we played Oklahoma and sometimes when we played and prepared for a bowl game, you know, if you lose 25% of your practice time due to weather, that's a big chunk because, you know, if you go 4 good practice days in one day, you can't throw the ball deep, you can't punt the ball, you know, you don't get any work on the angles on the pursuit because you're working in a very restricted area. It shows up some on Saturday. So we won't have that excuse anymore. And I can't promise you that that means we're going to all of a sudden win national championships, but I do believe that we're going to do pretty well with this building.
Well, Tom, I haven't located it yet, but where is my sky booth in here? I mean, my apartment and that.
We're going to put that in here right after the first of the year.
Mm-hmm. This facility is awfully nice, and as I said, when I first saw it, I said, geez, they could even play football in here. You really can hold a full, all-out scrimmage in this building.
Right. We have, I believe we have a full football field with about an extra 5 yards beyond each end zone and about an extra 6 or 7 yards on each sideline. So we can scrimmage in here, and you know, we'll maybe roll up close to the wall on occasion when you go out of bounds, but it is a full football field plus some extra, and we'll be able to take 100 players in here and practice very, very well and just hold a normal practice because we normally practice out on our game field, and this is just about as much area as we've got out there.
Tom, as we've said, the state has really responded in fundraising for this new facility. But Mike Grace, who heads up fundraising for the University Athletic Department, tells us about the need for a statewide organization.
Well, Dan, we've undertaken several studies at the Athletic Department and at the University of Nebraska Foundation in looking at other major programs throughout the United States and how they raise those large amounts of dollars. And quite often they raise those dollars through priority seating, which means that they assign a value to seats throughout the stadium, and then for season ticket holders to buy those tickets, they in effect have to belong to a club, pay X amount of dollars. We want to avoid that at all cost, and one way that we can see avoiding that is through the development of a statewide Nebraska club, Cornhusker Athletic Club, something along that line, in which in localities throughout the state, 12 to 14 localities, we'll have local Nebraska clubs that will be comprised of people interested in Nebraska, willing to donate some time and maybe some of their monies to the program.
I asked Mike how he stacked up with the other big programs around the country.
Well, Dan, we compared to those schools, our fundraising efforts appear to be not quite on par with those people. But I believe that to be the case because we haven't really asked the people of Nebraska to support the athletic department in terms of contributory dollars. I feel there's probably a misconception that those dollars aren't needed, and nothing could be further from the truth. If Nebraska is to maintain its certainly lofty, prominent position in intercollegiate athletics, we're going to have to up our fundraising to be on par with the Alabamas, the Iowas, the Arizona States, the South Carolinas, the types of teams that we play. Over a period of time, unless we do raise those dollars, we may see our program slip. Here in Nebraska, we raise between $1.5 million and $1.6 million with approximately 3,500 boosters. And let me give an example of something that maybe come home at least more vividly for us. We played a team, University of South Carolina this year. They raised approximately $5 million with about 12,000 boosters. Closer to home, University of Iowa, a team that we've played in recent years, they raised about $4.7 million with 14,000 boosters. And based on that, I think you can see there is a need on our part to get together and pull together and increase our fundraising efforts.
I know as you've been looking at Oklahoma, you've been looking at a lot of gifted athletes, but all the gifted athletes you've been looking at this week haven't been Oklahoma players. Some of them have been high school players, right?
Well, we've really lost a week in recruiting in that if we had finished our season on November 21st, we would have had about 7 or 8 days to move around and check with a lot of high school players. We couldn't see them personally until after December 1st. We look at films, and Jack Pierce has been taken off the road this year. You know, he was not able to leave our campus until November 1st to go out and evaluate. So we're behind where we have been before. So we've had to spend a little bit of time, a couple days of this 2-week period, looking at a lot of videotapes, a lot of high school films, and making some phone calls and trying to find out what we can about players around the country. So when we go out on the road December 1st, that we have it narrowed down, because if you just send George Darlington to California and say, well, George, go find some players, he's got to look at a state with 20 million people and thousands of high schools, and most of the better players by then will have had their 5 visits at least partly taken up. So you have to get at it right away, and recruiting goes on year-round. You know, we recruit in the spring, we do phone calls in the summer, and we've been working at it pretty hard lately.
How many of these tapes will you look at? I mean, I know that's a kind of an odd question, but thousands of them?
Well, we'll look at a bunch. I guess within the last 2 days, I've probably looked at, we'll be looking at 50, 60, 70 tapes, you know, trying to get an evaluation. It's you get to the point where you got to make sure you're zeroing in and not just staring at the TV.
Right.
You know, that can happen after a bunch of tapes. But
speaking of need or not need, next is Fearless Dan. He's had a whole week to prepare for the game.
Describe how bad it feels.
I feel like it's this big, like a big tomato. I've got a sore nose.
It's just the rubbing and the dripping and the sneezing and the wiping and the rubbing and the dripping and the sneezing and the wiping.
Introducing first aid for your nose when it's sore from too much blowing. New Puffs Plus.
Feels like there may be something in there.
There's lotion. I feel it on my fingers.
No. A lotion.
Oh, yeah, I could hold this right here all day.
I want to know how they got it on here.
It's the first tissue with moisturizing lotion. New Puffs Plus.
Well, it saved my nose. Puffs Plus is much less irritating than my tissue.
I've never had an experience where you blow your nose and it feels so good.
New Puffs Plus. First aid for your sore nose.
I got my old nose back. I'm happy.
Zestfully clean. Soap leaves a sticky film on you that won't rinse away, but Zest rinses you fully clean. Zestfully, zestfully, zestfully clean. You're not fully clean unless you're zestfully clean.
Can you feel it? It's the spirit all around us, oh yes.
Can you see a familiar face?
Caring smile.
Sure got a certain style.
Keep up that spirit. Come on, let's hear it.
come in to play for Nebraska the next few years, because that'll make Fearless Dan look better, my twin brother. Now, last year my twin brother picked it 2017 Nebraska. It was just a little reverse of that. But he has had nothing to do all week long but think about this game. So I'm sure his prediction is going to be the best one possible.
Well, we hope so. There's been a lot of hype and a lot of conversation about the game, and I guess the biggest conversationalist of all has been Fearless Dan.
Yeah, it is a great new facility, and my sky booth, yes, about the third one down you see up there, bring in a little entertainment, a little refreshment. We're going to entertain in here too, as you can tell, and I have entertained a few thoughts about the game. In my opinion, this is the national championship. We'll play the Fearless Dan National Championship on Saturday, because these two teams are the best two teams in the country. What the ball game comes down to, as it does all of the time, defense. In the past, the Oklahoma teams that have beaten Nebraska, it hasn't been their offense, it's been their great defenses. And the difference this year is Nebraska's defense is the better one. We've got a lot of quickness on that defense, which is going to slow down the wishbone. Now, on the other side of the ball, we have a difference here in philosophy and styles. The wishbone, the old attack, the Nebraska multiple offenses is the new attack in college football. Which one is going to win? I think the one with the most versatility, which is Nebraska's offense. Last year, a tight end from Oklahoma took over in the fourth quarter and beat us. I'm saying this year, a tight end from Nebraska will win the ball game. Nebraska will win this one 28-14. Yeah, Tom, Fearless Dan says 28-14, and I'm sure if there's a sky booth in here, he'll find his. But what do you think about Fearless's prediction? You think high-scoring game, low-scoring game, defense, offense? How's it going to go?
Well, I know it's going to be disappointing to you, but I just don't know. I think that scoring depends so much on field position, and a lot of times field position depends a lot on kicking game, depends on turnovers. And, you know, if Oklahoma hands the ball to us a few times deep, we might score quite a few, and if we have to go 85, 90 yards every time we get the ball against the kind of defense they have, I think we'll still score some points, but it's going to be tougher. And same way with our defense. You know, if we take good care of the football and leave our defense in good field position where Oklahoma has to consistently go 80 yards, you know, that's the thing that they've had trouble doing, particularly the last couple of weeks, is putting together an 80-yard drive. Now, if you hand them the ball, you know, and turn it over like Oklahoma State, the last two touchdowns of that game were scored on interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we need to take good care of the ball. We need to have a good kicking game, and then we need to play very sound offense and defense, which I think we will. And so I feel good about our team. And the only thing we have to do is go out and really play well and play like we've played all year long. And that doesn't mean we're going to win, but I think it puts us in an awful good position to win. And we'll get a better effort out of Oklahoma than what they gave against Missouri. You know, I don't think you can say that's a good barometer of how they're going to play. But nobody really knows. You know, that's I think the great thing about athletics is you can't apply a formula and say this is exactly how it's going to come out. You're the closest thing I've ever seen to knowing what's going to happen.
Tom, there's one other guy who should know what's going to happen. He's played in enough of them. That's Jerry Taggy. Let's see what his prediction is.
Well, I've been predicting 35-14 when they had Jamel Holloway playing and Lydell Carr. And now with those guys being injured, I'm going to keep the same prediction.
Well, that's about the most optimistic score I've heard. I don't even think Fearless Dan predicted that much. What makes you so confident?
I guess because I feel it, and I feel that Nebraska is peaking at the right time. They played real heavy competition early on, beat some good football teams. They're on a roll. They're just reaching their peak, and it's very characteristic of what Oklahoma has done in the past years. They played some good competition, and they peaked and peaked and peaked, and to the point where they were just ready to play at the Nebraska game, and Switzer did a very good job of doing that. This year, they have not been successful in doing that. Even with Holloway and Carr in there, they were not improving as a team like they should have. And now with them hurt, I just put them at a big disadvantage.
Well, Tom, I think we've talked about every angle of the ball game possible. Now we have to play it. We do that next Saturday. But after that, come back here and see all the highlights and the interviews next week on Tom Osborne's Playbook.
In Thursday's papers for a complete listing of money-saving specials at 19th and N.
There's one game where every move is brilliant and every piece a winner. All stunning diamond jewelry. Classically simple, eternally elegant designs created to showcase diamonds of the finest quality. The Checkmate collection, to shatter all her defenses. At Sartor Heyman Jewelers, you'll always see quality diamonds in simple, elegant jewelry designs. Come see our stunning new Checkmate collection of quality diamond jewelry now at Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
You need a down-to-earth solution that keeps your clothes looking crisp and you looking sharp. You need Globe Quality Cleaners. Globe has over 80 years of cleaning experience, and that world of experience has taught us little things count. We give all your garments personal attention. We even do minor repairs free. Globe Quality Cleaners, a world of cleaning experience at your fingertips.
The real Straight Line with Barry Switzer. I'm Dean Blevins, and welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Good to be back, Dino.
And you are crippled, so bring the people.
I've got the cast under the desk here.
Well, briefly tell our Nebraska friends.
Since they did get the Missouri film, they don't know how it happened. I was watching Charles Thompson run the option play, and I should have been paying attention to pursuit that was trying to tackle him, which did miss him, and Reggie Ballard, the linebacker, 53 from Missouri, blindsided me, hit the outside of my left knee, and tore the inside ligaments of that knee. And fortunately, it grade 2 ligament damage, and they say I'll be in a cast for about 6 weeks.
Dirty shot?
It's called the same injury Lydell has.
So
same knee.
But you'll be back on the sideline on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be there, and I'll be a little further back than I normally stand.
But he was on the real sideline on Saturday down in Norman as the Sooners entertained Missouri. It was not necessarily a pretty afternoon, but nonetheless, Oklahoma was victorious, and it sets the big showdown for the OU-Nebraska game this Saturday. Oklahoma stumbled through the game with Missouri. The defense controlled the game when the offense couldn't. Rodney Anderson fumbled on the Sooners' initial possession, but OU got on the board first. A 19-yard field goal by R.D. Lasher. Missouri tied the game in the second. Late in the half, Anthony Stafford capped a 52-yard drive with a diving touchdown. Quarterback Charles Thompson passed for 104 yards, ran for 91 more, and scored in the third quarter. Strong defensive plays, including Scott Garl's interception, turned back several Tiger threats late in the ball game. The final score, Oklahoma 17, Missouri 13. Nowhere close to covering the proverbial line, but anyway, a victory. Your assessment?
We didn't play well. Hadn't played well the last couple of weeks. That's why I said I wouldn't have voted for us number one. We're a good football team, but we haven't played well. I like to think maybe it's the intensity wasn't there, and they're just looking forward maybe to playing Nebraska. Remember, it's just Nebraska goes out and performs every week. We used to, and the last couple of weeks we haven't. Now, I can say it has turnovers, has a lot to do with maybe us not scoring when we had the ball in field position. When you drive the ball 75, 80 yards, which we did a couple of times, and lose the ball at the 8 and the 15 and not getting points out of it, obviously affects your confidence and your play, I think if we win at Nebraska, who cares about how you did against OSU and Missouri? It comes down to that anyway. It doesn't matter where you're ranked, number 1 or number 2 going in this game. And I like to think that we're ready to play and look forward to being a great game again.
We'll get to your phone calls now. You know the numbers around the state of Oklahoma. You people in Nebraska, give us a call, 1-800-255-6414. Coach Switzer would like to talk to you. You are on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Coach Switzer. I'm from Collins from Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Yes. I was wondering if the experience between Jamel and Charles is going to hurt you on the reads on your options.
Well, it's obviously that Charles is not as experienced as Jamel is at running the option and the reads. Jamel is an excellent option quarterback, and he's had many snaps on Saturdays to perform this execution. But Charles is an excellent athlete. He understands the system, and I think he'll do a good job. I don't think he's a Jamel Holloway right now, but I think he's an excellent option quarterback, about as good as we can have as a backup quarterback to Jamel.
Thanks for waiting. You're on with Coach Switzer.
Yeah, I got, was this the first time you all showed the Tom Osborne show this last week?
Where are you calling from, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Kyle from Tulsa.
Oh, from Tulsa?
Sooner
No,
Land.
we have shown that all during the season.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got a question. Are y'all going to be wearing the red shoes on Saturday?
No, we're not going to be wearing. I don't know whether they're going to be wearing red pants or not, like they did last year. But we're not wearing the red shoes.
No surprises.
No, not really.
To your knowledge.
The big surprise is I hear it's going to be 50 degrees and clear and sunny in Lincoln.
You're on with the coach.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You're on the air.
Yeah,
Hello.
this is Ron from Lincoln.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was wondering, are you going to use Eric Mitchell very much in the game?
Well, right now our plans are to go with Charles Thompson. We don't know what will transpire in the ball game. It depends on how we function there at that position with Charles being our #1 quarterback. I think that Eric has worked at halfback some this week and at second-team quarterback. But if we don't have the success we need to have, then we'll go with Eric.
It's one of those games where you hear that there are 50 keys to the game, but I believe most people agree that how Charles Thompson handles the pressure is one of the most important keys. How do you feel he will handle the pressure?
Well, I think he's a very confident young man. He was unique in that as early in the season. I think that when we put him out there, he did some things that I didn't think a freshman quarterback would do and handle, and he did an excellent job of it. I think he's a tremendously confident person, and he believes in himself. He really does, which is a tremendous trait or attribute for a quarterback. You want that in your players, but Charles is not big enough and strong enough to take the punishment Jamel Holloway takes. You know, Jamel is little, but he's little, 5'8", 190 pounds. He's strong, he's tough, he's physical, he can break tackles, he can run through people. Charles Thompson is not that. Charles can make people miss him. He's got great quickness. He's got a burst that he can accelerate and find a little gash or crack and jump north and south, and he has a tremendous acceleration. And it's just a different type of player, but he's a guy that can't carry the ball 25, 30 pounds like Jamel.
You're on with Coach Switzer.
Yes, my name's Andy, and I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska. My question is, why haven't you used Keith Jackson more as you did it like last year?
Well, I tell you, we'll probably have to use him more this Saturday than we have. Keith has caught, what, about 12 balls this year.
Not that much down from last year.
No, he caught 14. In fact, going into this game at Lincoln, he probably has caught more passes going into the 11th game than he did last year. And I think, what, he caught 4 balls at Lincoln last year? Mm-hmm. And, but we'll probably have to use Keith, as long as with our other receivers, too. We'll have to have something happen in the passing game for us to be successful at Lincoln. You know, our offense doesn't lend itself. I think Nebraska has a reputation. I mean, they give you the illusion of being a throwing football team. Nebraska's a rushing football team like we are. They threw 100 times. I think completed 50 of 100 Steve Taylor has, and that's not many through 9 football games. But obviously there's a lot more than we throw with football. But, you know, Keith is a great receiver, and we'll have to go to him some.
We'll take a timeout. When we come back from the commercial break, we'll take a look back at an OU flashback. That on Straight Line with Barry Switzer.
Come in and save on Lincoln's largest selection of software and professional computers with hundreds of selections in stock, all at substantial discounts. You save on home and entertainment, business and financial software, a wide range of educational software, desktop publishing, and more. Why mail order? Have the software you want today and save at professional computers. Super discounts on software, plus the complete line of Excel computers. 100% IBM compatibility for less. Only at professional computers. Sutter Place Mall at 48th and Highway 2.
At Tracy's Body Shop, we're always looking for ways to improve our product. Take our recent conversion to the Sicken system, an advanced line of auto body paint and undercoating materials imported from Europe. The Sicken system has several major advantages. Up to 13,000 precisely matched colors, unparalleled protection from rust and corrosion, plus a deep, shiny, wet-look finish that's so durable it never needs waxing. Sickens. It's a name worth remembering, and it's available now at Tracy's Body Shop, 45th and Cornhusker.
Does your floor need a new plan? O Street Carpet Shop is having their annual Evans in Black carpet sale. All items are reduced 20 to 40% for this once-a-year sale. At O Street Carpet Shop, you'll find a latest arrival from Evans in Black, DuPont certified Stain Master carpet, starting at $8.99 a square yard, a savings of $5 per yard. Rolls of great-looking carpet to brighten up any room. If you're searching for a new floor plan, stop by O Street Carpet Shop for their annual Evans in Black carpet sale.
Still waiting for your real estate agent to sell your house? Did you know the average full-time agent only sells 7 homes a year? How much longer can you afford to wait before your agent gets lucky? It's time to change. Experienced RE/MAX sales associates average 23 transactions a year, and that's good news for anyone buying or selling. Call RE/MAX.
Good news, RE/MAX, times are here.
Welcome back to Straight Line with Barry Switzer. I'm Dean Blevins with the coach, and at this time every week, we give you an OU flashback, and unbeknownst to me, our staff got together and put together this week's flashback, and it was from a ball game back in 1976. Oklahoma has had lots of luck in coming back late in ball games. Up in Lincoln, and 76 was no exception. The Sooners down by 4 with around 2 minutes remaining.
Starts to his left, pitches the ball back to Woody Shepard, and Shepard throws the bomb. Rhodes is there. Rhodes catches the ball. He's out of the Nebraska 36-yard line. It's 3rd down and 19, and Dean Blevins is the quarterback. Oklahoma will throw it. Faking, he wants to throw, he does throw. It's complete to Rhodes. Rhodes laterals the ball to Peacock. He's to the 10, he's to the 5. Did he get over? He's out of bounds at the 2. What a play! That's a 2-yard line.
Who was the quarterback?
Well, I don't know.
You're trying to tell me you didn't put that piece together tonight?
I was a little upset that when I came in, they had put that together. But that is an example, though, whether people in Lincoln like to admit it or not, that has happened a lot during your tenure at Oklahoma in the 4th quarter. How do you explain that?
Well, I tried to explain in the press conference the other day. I think it's good players making good plays when you need to have them made, and I think that's exactly what has happened.
Yeah, but the mental edge, or is there one?
I don't think that there is. We've won some games in Lincoln when we were the underdog. When I go back through the years, you know, 73 and 4 and 5, we were the better team. We were the favorite then. 76, we weren't at Lincoln, and that was the play that won the ball game. We were very fortunate, lucky that happened. You know, that for us to substitute, I don't think they knew you came in the ball game for Thomas Lott for that one play to throw that. And they were in 3-deep coverage, single coverage, and we were lucky with an 8-man front, and we just caught them off guard on that play. But in 78, we were the favorite, and we should have been national champions that year, and we fumbled to 3, had 9 fumbles, lost 6 up there, and so they got even for 76. 80, they were the favorite. Red Wine ran early the touchdown, but we had a good quarterback, J.C. Watts, and we ended up winning the football game, and of course, 82, they were the favorite, they won. 84, they were the favorite, we won. 86, we were the favorite. We were the favorite last year. 80, you know, so there have been a couple of games, finishes, but, you know, we were the favorite. A couple times we were supposed to win the ball game.
Hearing Coach reminisce about those games reminds us that tomorrow night we will be bringing you another show, and the people that are watching this program can also watch tomorrow night's program. We'll be having a show from the trophy room there at the stadium, and Bob Devaney, Tom Osborne, Jerry Taggy, and some Husker people, along with Coach Switzer, Brett Musburger, Jamel Holloway, and others will join us.
I got to tell a story. I want to tell a story. I don't know if Jerry Taggy's watching this tonight.
Well, he may be.
We might be. This is a great story. We're playing in Lawrence.
All right, we got the earpiece problems.
Go ahead. We're playing in Lawrence. In Lawrence, Kansas, and they're playing at Columbia against Missouri, and we're staying at the hotel. A lot of the Nebraska fans are staying there, and I get on the elevator that morning right before after we've had our pregame meal, and we're going to go pack our bags and get on the bus and go to Lawrence. And all of a sudden, this blonde jumps on the elevator with this other girl, and just the 3 of us, and we push the buttons. We're riding the top floor, and she's got Nebraska on. I said, "Oh, you're going over to Columbia today?" She said, "Cornhuskers." And she said, "Yes." I said, "You going?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm going over to Lawrence to see the Sooners." And she says, "Well," says, "are you coming to Lincoln?" I said, "Yeah, I plan on it." And the girl behind her just slapped her, tapped her on the shoulder. I said, "I'm Barry Switzer." And she said, "Oh, I'm Jerry Tacky." I said, "Tell Jerry that story, you'll get a kick out of it."
So she met you up close and personal the next day, I guess. All right, we'll be back and get back to your phone calls after this break on Straight Line with Barry Switzer.
There's one game where every move is brilliant and every piece a winner. All stunning diamond jewelry, classically simple, eternally elegant designs created to showcase diamonds of the finest quality. The Checkmate collection, to shatter all her defenses. At Sartor Heyman Jewelers, you'll always see quality diamonds in simple, elegant jewelry designs. Come see our stunning new Checkmate collection of quality diamond jewelry now at Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
Come to the Prospector, see the sights there are to see. You can dine just fine and go back in time with your friends and family. Come to the Prospector, at the Prospector you're just fine. Drive on down to the Prospector and you'll have a real good time. Come on, drive on down to the Prospector and you'll have a real good time.
If you work on the same car repetitiously day after day after day, you get really good at it. And you fix them fast, and you fix them correctly, and that's what we do. Our concept was to take a veteran mechanic that had been working for 15 years on one particular car and only use those type mechanics. The field is getting to where you need to specialize, and we're doing it, and I think we're a leader in the field by doing it this way.
Experienced specialists, superior service, World Motor Works, 10th and N.
Enter the world of serious rock and roll at Dietz Music House. The selection of guitars and amps at Dietz will amaze you. Kramer, Hamer, Ibanez, Rickenbacker, amps by Marshall and Peavey. Finely crafted professional equipment that takes your music as seriously as you do. When you're ready for serious rock and roll, Dietz Music House, 12080 O Street.
Welcome back to Straight Line. We'll get back to your phone calls in a minute, but let's talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The showdown is set up in Lincoln for this Saturday when the Sooners will invade Lincoln. Let's look at what the Cornhuskers have done this year. Nebraska, of course, coached by Tom Osborne in his 15th year at Nebraska. Career record outstanding, 146, 32-2, 9-0 undefeated so far this season. 10-2 last year overall, 5-2 in the Big 8. That was good for second place. OU won last year in dramatic fashion, 20-17, and the Sooners lead the series 37, 27, and 3. Offensively, the Nebraska Cornhuskers will run out of the I, 4 returning starters. Defensively, it will be a 5-2, and they also return 4 starters. Stats nationwide, number 2 in rushing offense, number 1 in total offense, number 2 in scoring offense. And for you ONN people around the state, don't drive off the road. We will be showing the people on television why those stats are the way they are. The Nebraska Cornhuskers of 1987. Nebraska is loaded with talent. Quarterback Steve Taylor is one of the best in the country. In the backfield with him, number 33, Dana Brinson, is averaging 117 yards per game, running and receiving. Keith Endzone Jones is the leading rusher and has 10 touchdowns. Number 88, split-in Rod Smith, is the Cornhuskers' leading receiver this year. But tight end Tom Banderas has made most of his catches count. 6 of 8 have been for scores. Nebraska's defense may be just as strong. Ranked number 2 in rushing defense, number 8 in total defense, and number 8 in scoring defense. Broderick Thomas has 54 tackles this season. And number 78, right tackle Tom Rother, has 10 quarterback sacks. Pass defense may be the only weakness. Nebraska is ranked 50th in the country. Your assessment of the Huskers?
An excellent football team. They've played well, consistently well all year, Dean, and offensively the key is Steve Taylor. He's an excellent player, an excellent athlete, has the ability to make plays like Turner Gill did, nothing there, and scramble and make a bad play into a big play. And I look at their offense, and you know, they evolve to different things every year with their talent. And they're an eye offensive football team, but they're an eye wishbone football team. They use a lot of our schemes. They're a power eye team. They give you some problems with their option game, and obviously he gives you a lot of problems. But they run the basic eye plays, the counters, the sweeps, and they like play action passes, 2 tight sets, flanker, crossing routes, tight ends, counter action passes. He's a great threat and a great quarterback running that style of offense. defensively, they're always the same type of football team. They probably can run a little bit better than some teams of the past, but they've got excellent athletes. Their down linemen are good, strong, physical people, and that's, I guess, why they call them the Black Shirts. They've been a pretty good defensive group through the years.
And the head
I
coach,
think one area that they'd like to be better in, like us too, is the kicking game. I'm not talking about return game with Brinson, because he's a great player. He's really a big game player and can make a lot of plays. He's scary. He bothers you. But punting the ball, things like that, we haven't done well there too, and we've been better there too.
and the head coach, of course, of the Huskers is the steady Tom Osborne. We caught up with Tom earlier this week in Lincoln on Tuesday, and here's what he had to say.
The main approach I've taken with our players is just we have to play like we've been playing. I think that probably since the South Carolina game, which was our last non-conference game, that we've been playing very well. I think our defense has played much better the last 4 or 5 games than they did the first 4. Of course, we played some pretty good people. UCLA has a fine offensive football team. South Carolina has a great offensive football team, and I think at that time Arizona State was playing pretty well. So we had some points run up on us by some pretty good people, but we were giving up more yards and more points than I was comfortable with. Their defense is a real key factor, I believe, in that when you're only giving up about 6 points a game and you're a little over 200 yards a game in total defense, you got to be somewhat concerned about moving the ball, and I think that will be a big factor in the ball game, is whether we're able to crack their defense at all. And we think that we're probably as well prepared to do it as anybody they've played. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. I feel like probably we're as deserving as anybody else. There are 4 or 5 very good football teams around the country, and I think to date we're one of them, and I hope that 3 games from now we're still one of them. I don't think anybody knows who number 1 is right now, and maybe at the end of the year they won't know who number 1 is.
Coach, as you mentioned, defensively they do have more speed than before. Last year they did a good job of shutting you all down until late in the game. How do you feel about your chances to move the ball against Nebraska this year?
Well, I think we're going to have to. Obviously, our defense cannot win the football game for us alone. We've got to score some points, and they got to be able to protect those points. We've got to have success offensively, and we haven't played well offensively the last 2 ball games. Nothing indicates that we will, because of the way we've played. I think everybody might be concerned about that, but I think we've had great practices, and I think that we're looking forward to playing this football game. I think we accept the challenge, and I think our football team is hungry right now, and we like the role of going in number 2. I think everyone was hoping that would happen, and our football team really was, because we expected it, and we'd rather be that. We'd rather be the underdog. And some of our players, I don't know whether to believe players or not, they can make a lot of excuses for why you played this way, you played that way. I hope they're right in saying they're looking forward to being challenged and want to play Nebraska, and weren't ready to play those other people.
Back to the phones. You're on with Coach Switzer.
Yes, my name is Bob Kamazar from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you a break from all the questions about the game this week. What I'd really like to know from Barry is how he feels about Jimmy Johnson's position, about the bowl bid, how he got an unconditional bid before the South Carolina-Notre Dame game.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Well, I can understand why Jimmy would ask for that. I don't understand why the Orange Bowl Classic would go along with giving him that unconditional bid. Notre Dame is playing extremely well right now, and I tell you what, South Carolina would not surprise me at all if they beat Miami. And I think that obviously that we hope that doesn't happen, because for the attraction for the Classic and for the national championship might not be there. But obviously it would still be there, because the winner of our game will go into it number 1 and come out at number 1 and win the national championship. But if it didn't, that Miami being defeated and Miami defeating who's ever there, Nebraska or Oklahoma, might make the Fiesta Bowl a national championship bowl.
Bob Devaney standing by. We'll take a break and come back and talk to the athletic director of the University of Nebraska after this break.
No matter what in the world you do,
no matter what in the world you wear. Globe Quality Cleaner's world of experience helps you achieve at least one goal: looking good. Because when you look good, your day just seems to go more smoothly. Globe offers free pickup and delivery, too, to help you keep up with the fast pace your world demands. Globe Quality Cleaners, a world of cleaning experience at your fingertips.
There's one game where every move is brilliant and every piece a winner. All stunning diamond jewelry, classically simple, eternally elegant designs created to showcase diamonds of the finest quality. The Checkmate collection, to shatter all her defenses. At Sartor Heyman Jewelers, you'll always see quality diamonds in simple, elegant jewelry designs. Come see our stunning new Checkmate collection of quality diamond jewelry now at Sartor Heyman Jewelers.
My house has been on the market 5 months now. How long can I afford to wait before my agent gets lucky? Does anyone have the experience to sell my home in a reasonable amount of time?
RE/MAX does, because our sales associates give you the edge of experience, and that's good news for you. Call RE/MAX.
Welcome back to Straight Line with Barry Switzer. We've sort of shuttled them in and shuttled them out. Donnie Duncan earlier, the coach now. And, Coach, we beam up the Nebraska Athletic Director, Bob Devaney from Lincoln. Coach, welcome to the program.
Well, it's nice to be here. It's a great honor to be on this program.
Bob, I always appreciate the opportunities to be on yours. Dick Jana called me the other day and says that Ray Hong's in town and we're going to do another show. Is that right?
I would like to very much, and Ray is in town, and he thinks a lot of you, and he'd like very well to have you come on the program, and he will be there also.
As long as he's not bearing gifts, okay? I'm not bringing one, so you don't give me one, okay?
I think that you like whatever he brings up.
Oh, you bet.
With no connotations.
Macadamia nuts, probably.
Well, Coach, you guys have done a few things with one another on television shows. Back in 1980, Nebraska and Oklahoma played. The winner goes to the Orange Bowl, the loser to the Fiesta, the same as it is this year, and you walked on the set. Set that up for the folks.
A lot of people thought that Bob and I had staged it because it fell together so perfectly. You know, I was doing a show, Bob, back to Oklahoma City from that to what the station you do your show, and the stagehand was there, and I said, what are y'all doing here? And they said, we're getting ready for Bob Devaney's show to come on. I said, I'll tell you what. Would you go get me a sack of tacos? There's a Taco Bell down the road there, and I'm going to get behind the petition. I talked to Dick, and Dick Jana hosts the Bob Devaney prediction show. Dick said, hey, that'd be great. Well, I get on there. Bob gets on there, and he says, Ray Hong is from Honolulu, never seen the Cornhuskers lose a game and all this, and he gets on there and says, Bob stands up with his pineapple. He says, if I knew where Switzer was tonight, he says, I'd give him this pineapple because where he's going, he's not going to get any fruit at all. Well, that's the best cue in the world. I walk right out behind stage with a sack of tacos, say, hey, Bob, thank you. Here's something. Of course, Bob handles it great. We sit down and visit, and I talk about what a great guy Bob Devaney is because he is the #1 athletic director in America today, and he's #2 is Donnie Duncan right behind you, Bob.
All right, I tell you, he was pretty accurate on that, Bob, because we actually have the tape on that just to see what happened that night back in November of 1980. Here it is.
I didn't know you.
That was the thing.
Thanks very much for being here. I guess we pulled out all... Oh, wait a minute here. I guess he's in person here.
Oh, God, here's Barry.
Hey, I appreciate the pineapple, but I've got a couple of tacos for you, Bob.
Oh, God. hey, one of the greatest coaches in the country, and it's great to be here with us here.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
I
you.
want to tell you
Now,
something.
wherever we go, we're well fed.
You didn't know I was back here, did you?
Barry, I'll tell you, I've never for sure where you've been, but I've always felt
I want to tell you something. You have too, and I want to tell you, America respects Bob Devaney. You're one of the greatest coaches this game's ever had.
Barry, you've done the same thing for this game of football. It's going to be a great game tomorrow.
Thank you. Certainly will be, and always has been. I tell you what, you've seen 2 wins, and you had to bring a guy. You're a 10-point favorite, and had to bring a guy 5,000 miles. You're pulling out an all-stop.
I'll tell you right now, we're trying to play it safe, Barry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry, for being on with us. Well, I'll tell you.
And, Bob, it's your turn for the payback. What do you have to say to Coach Switzer
I'll
this
tell you
evening?
what, I think we had to eat the tacos that year, and so I've got something for Barry, and I'd like to present it on his program here, because I'm sure he'll like it.
Oh, I don't believe it, Bob.
And he'll like what it's wrapped in.
Hey, I noticed that smile a minute ago. What's your name?
I'm Laurie.
Hi, Lori.
How are you?
You from Lincoln?
No.
Oh, hi. Good to see you. I'm Barry.
She's brought you a pinata.
Pinata. Now, what I do with this,
works.
I know it works, so you go to Pinnacle Pete there in Phoenix, I guess. What do I do here?
Whoa, look out there. Look out there. What do you think?
Thank you, Bob. That's great.
All right, Bob. I think you got him back.
Hey, it's great to be on the show. I appreciate it very much, and I like the whole decoration on your show.
I figured you would, Bob.
Now, what is it? There seems to be some good chemistry between the two of you. It's been that way for a long time.
Yeah,
I don't mean the two of you.
I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. Of course, Bob Devaney is a legend in football, and of course in Nebraska what he's done is made Tom Osborne's job a lot easier, you know, as Bud Wilkinson did mine here, and we're both fortunate to follow guys like that.
Lori, thanks for dropping by. We appreciate it. And Bob, thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow night in the trophy room. Looking forward to the broadcast.
I like your style, Bob.
And I look forward to tomorrow. And a lot of times, Barry and I have gone to church on the same Sundays.
All right, Bob, thanks. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll take a time out and we'll come back. More of Straight Line with Barry Switzer.
You can call Straight Line with Barry Switzer. Call 800-722-7595.
Sweet 9 at 2137 Cornhusker offers you a choice. Choose from over 200 imported beers and Sweet 9's off sale, Lincoln's largest choice of imported beers. Or choose a refreshing non-alcoholic beverage from our selection of non-alcoholic wines and beers. Sweet 9's spacious lounge lets you sample our wide selection of imports, enjoy shuffleboard, foosball, darts and pool, and catch the fall football action on our big screen TV. Sweet 9 Lounge and off sale, 2137 Cornhusker, where the choice is yours.
Please, post-trauma, 10 minutes.
Stable now. Let's move to intensive care for observation.
A better way to better health.
You think I drink too much. It's not such a big deal. Your brother, he's the drinker.
Sure, she drinks too much sometimes, but she can't be called an alcoholic.
I know my friend has a drug problem, but what can I do?
Most people who get help for an alcohol or drug problem do so because someone cared.
To learn how to help someone you love, call Lincoln General Hospital's Independence Center.
Welcome back to Straight Line with Barry Switzer. I'm Dean Blevins with the coach. We'll get back to your calls. You're on the air.
Yeah, this is Derek from Lincoln.
Yeah, Derek.
I had a couple of questions. The first one was, do you think Nebraska will have a psychological edge Saturday, having already played 3 difficult ball games against UCLA, Arizona State, and South Carolina?
Derek, we limit our Oklahomans to 1 call. We must do that with you. We do appreciate you calling, though.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. You know, those games were played earlier in the year. They won those games. You know, we played UCLA last year ourselves, and it was so early in the year. It didn't give us an advantage going to Lincoln, the 10th ball game of the year, the 11th ball game. So obviously they played against some good teams, better competition than we did, and they won the football games. And they were extended, but we got extended against some teams that people didn't think we'd be extended against. So I really don't think that's a factor. I think that this game this week, you cannot never go by comparative scores. Don't ever let what has happened in the past influence what this game will be and how this game's ever played.
You're on the air.
Steve Bedros in Tulsa, and I'd like Barry to reflect back on the OU-Nebraska game of 1970. I think that's the game OU really came of age. They had kind of a disappointing season, and they went up to Lincoln and played a good Nebraska team. They lost, however, 28-21.
1970?
Yeah.
No, that's the year we went to the wishbone offense. We were kind of going through our growing pains, and at that time, learning the offense ourselves, and I think that we had an excellent football team, talent-wise. And of course, obviously, next year, 71 became a great wishbone offensive football team, and had some great talent. I think that, of course, Melton was our quarterback. I don't think we could have ever gone to the wishbone offense had it not Jack been here. I think Jack gave us the opportunity. That was Joe Wiley catching a pass there for a touchdown. But Jack gave us the opportunity because being here, and I guess I go look back through, how many years ago? 17 years ago we changed this offense, and I look back and say, I thank God Jack was here because we couldn't have been able to do it without him.
You're on the line with Coach Switzer.
Yeah, this is Todd from Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm calling to ask Barry how he feels. Well, should Nebraska win this game, are you going to blame it, like, just because Har and Holloway got hurt for the season? Or?
No, not at all. First of all, we play with who we're going to play with, and obviously we would be better if Carr and Holloway were playing, but they're not. And if Nebraska wins the ball game, I will be very happy for Tom Osborne, and we'll wish him the best of luck against Miami and the Orange Bowl, and we'll want Nebraska to win a national championship. I mean that sincerely. I think Tom has been unlucky in winning national championships. I think that he's had 2-3 teams that should have won national championships. The early 80 teams were the dominant teams of college football. He had some of the best that's ever played. Those teams should have won national championships, but you got to be lucky. And I've been lucky enough to win national championships with teams maybe not as good as what he had in the early 80s. But that's the way this game of football works sometimes. And I would be thrilled to death for Tom if he wins the football game, but I'm going to try to beat his butt.
It's time for the Miller Lite Lineman of the Week, and this week's recipient is one of the Phillips brothers. It's Anthony Phillips, John Phillips' brother, the 6'3", 285 junior out of Jinx, is this week's Miller Lite Lineman of the Week. Miller Lite will give $1,000 to the University of Oklahoma Scholarship Fund upon the end of the season. Congratulations to this week's winner, Anthony Phillips.
In 1973, a small bar served the first light beer. The response was unanimous.
Tastes great.
Here was a beer with its own special brewing process.
Less filling.
It's brewed to be light with only the finest quality ingredients.
Tastes great. It's less filling.
Today there are lots of lights around, but none are brewed like Miller Lite, and none can match the taste.
Tastes great! Tastes great!
For great taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Straight Line thanks these people and companies for supporting Sooner football. Steve Owens and Associates, ProSet Insurance, 5 States Energy Company, Monterey Incorporated, Mr. and Mrs. Norman A. Lamb, All Pro Athletic Services, Wilman's Furriers, Oklahoma's oldest exclusive furriers, Power Distributing Very Fine Juices, Clements Foods Company, manufacturers of Garden Club preserves and jellies, Cornforth and Associates, architectural engineers, A.E. Richardson, Richardson Repair, Sooner Motors, Ford, Mercury, and Chrysler, Phillips 66, good things for cars and the people who drive them, Tex Ace Corporation, #1 in quality golf headwear, Pepsi-Cola, the choice of a new generation, Pepsi-Cola Bottling of Oklahoma City, and H&H Machine and Manufacturing Incorporated, Elk City.
Welcome back to Straight Line. Barry's picks are coming up before the end of the program. 4 games around the country. We'll have the coach select the winner. But before we do that, we'll take some more phone calls. You're on the air.
Yes, hi, Barry. It's Bob Lee calling from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, Bob.
And I just got a question regarding the recent Sports Illustrated article on the little 6 and the big 2, and the big 2 got there at the expense of the little 6. What is your comments on that, Coach?
First of all, there's an indictment against the league, and I think that, first of all, Oklahoma and Nebraska did not have to defend their record, their tradition in college football for anyone. I look around the country and I see a league like the Big Ten. The reason the Big Ten is not any good anymore is because Ohio State and Michigan are down. And when Indiana, who played to the Rose Bowl this past week, nearly didn't beat Missouri, and Missouri played them all they wanted, and Syracuse had to go, what, for 2 points to beat. They're the fifth ranked team in the country, and they play in the Sugar Bowl. You know, I look at the Big Ten not being any better than the Big Eight. I look at the Southwest Conference. We beat Texas 44-9. Auburn destroys them, and they're playing for the Cotton Bowl next Thursday, I think, against Texas A&M. Nebraska beat any team in the Big Eight. I mean, the Big Eight, just the Southwest, just like they do the Big Eight, with 30 or 40 points. And you know, I am disappointed. I think Doug Looney took a personal shot at me. I really feel that. I think Doug, he said some things in the article that he hadn't even talked to Woody Widenhofer and he hadn't talked to me about. He talked about making the statement like, in a negative tone, like I had said, Woody had made a statement, well, I'm going to get you someday, Barry. And I said, well, Woody, you've come within 77 points last year. Well, that statement wasn't made to the press. Woody never made the press because I called Woody. I said, you didn't tell him about what happened down at the CFA convention. We were in Dallas, Texas, the CFA convention at the Hyatt Hotel. And it was late one evening, Jackie Sherrill, Pat Jones, a few other coaches, and Woody's sitting there, and he said, I'm going to whip your rear end one of these days. And I said, what do you got within 77 this year? And everybody at the table dies laughing. But Doug Looney some way gets us through the grapevine, and he writes it. That's the type of journalism we deal with today. And the only reason he ever hears us say something about putting half 100 on someone, he's in our locker room. We're talking to our football team. I allowed him to come in my locker room years ago, and he takes that quote from 5 or 6 years ago. You know, so he writes the story the way he wants to write it. But Oklahoma and Nebraska do not have to defend themselves to anybody. It's the rest of the league's job to get up with where we are, and it's going to be very difficult for them to do it with the number of scholarships and the numbers they presently have in their program.
Just a few seconds before we go to your picks. Nebraska is a very good club. How do you rank them briefly with the other great Nebraska teams?
Well, I think that I already said the early 80 teams when you had the tree triplets in the Big Eight Conference. I think that Turner Gill and Rozier and Fryer were three of the great football players that played in this league. They could run north and south, and Ricochet and Rozier could do it all. And they had good offensive linemen. Defense was excellent.
So you like one of those teams as the best?
Well, yeah, I think that this team here is an excellent football team too. But I like those teams then, and we're better than we were then. You know, we're on the upswing. We were on a downswing in the early 80s, and we're on an upswing right now. And but this team is an excellent football team, Nebraska has.
Time for Barry's picks. 4 games we let the coach choose from. In the first one, first of all, last week 1-3, 25%. Coach, a rough week for you. Still 22-20 for the year. Tough games to select. Notre Dame at Penn State.
Took Notre Dame.
Fighting
They're playing
Irish.
awful good.
UCLA at USC.
UCLA, Troy Aikman will beat the Trojans.
Ohio State at Michigan.
I'll take Michigan. I think that Michigan, they got some problems at Ohio State this week, haven't they?
And a big one in Lincoln. Oklahoma, Nebraska, who you like?
Boy, I got to go with the Sooners. You know that, Dino.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. We'll see you tomorrow night in Lincoln. Hope you tune us in tomorrow night from the stadium there in Lincoln. Thanks for tuning in tonight, you Oklahomans and Nebraskans. We'll see you tomorrow.
Nebraska fans had waited 2 weeks to see their #1 Huskers live up to that rating. But first quarter hopes were soon dashed by a Sooner attack that grew stronger and more overwhelming as the game went on. And we'll have a special look at this game through the camera of John Nickel. We'll talk to the coaches and players about their feelings and the future. And remember, the Buffs are next. All that and more on Tom Osborne's Playbook.
Osborne's Playbook is brought to you in part by Sizzler, Emeritus Investment Corp., Northwestern Bell, Occidental Nebraska Federal Savings Bank, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska, the law offices of Ronald J. Pelagi, and Heileman's Old Style Beer.
Tom, for the fans and the players, and I'm sure for yourself, this had to be an awful hard loss. With all the enthusiasm going into the ball game and not losing up to now and looking at the national championship, it had to be a very, very hard loss.
Well, I think so. As far as I'm concerned, it's about as discouraging a loss as we've ever had. We've had some that were discouraging before, but this one hurt. And I really felt that we had a very good chance to win the game. Of course, nobody knows in athletics, but I thought we could play better than that. I think maybe some of the optimism arose from the fact that Oklahoma had not looked particularly good the last couple of weeks, and we looked very strong. And the thing was that Oklahoma really played much, much better than what we'd seen them play. And I can't say we gave a poor effort. I think we tried hard, but I think we could play better.
Well, Tom, Nebraska did play well in the first quarter, and we'll come back and take a look at that in just a moment.
Has Sizzler changed some things?
Yeah, they have changed some things.
I like it here.
Sizzler, steak and all-you-can-eat shrimp.
Oh, look at those shrimp, Jody. Come on now, eat up. You do.
Reliability and efficiency in home heating. To find out more, stop by Green's office and showroom or call for a free in-home estimate.
One for Mommy.
Proof there is such a thing as too much of a good thing.
Fortune has devised next. Watch out, America, Rubik's back.
But first, a joke.
And right now, the wide selection we have in stock makes a honey of a deal.
Trucking. If you're looking for a dynamic, rewarding career change or the opportunity to move to a winning team, you need to consider the opportunity at Werner.
For further information, call 1-800-247-9008.
There is something new at BLN Investment Corp.
Say, have you seen my cup?
Isn't it right there on the shelf?
You still get the extra effort and investment service that you've come to expect.
There's something different about this cup.
We're just changing our name to Emeritus Investment Corp.
That's good.
Emeritus Investment Corp. Still represented throughout Nebraska with offices in Lincoln and Omaha.
Sustained drives in the entire game, while Oklahoma had 3 players who rushed for over 100 yards in the contest. Dick Janda tells us more about yesterday's game.
Yesterday's 17-7 Oklahoma victory over Nebraska.
You couldn't lose.
The 12th in the last 16 meetings between the two schools. In the final analysis, 2 plays did Nebraska in yesterday. First, this interception by OU's Ricky Dixon, which set up a game-tying touchdown early in the second.
Beginning of the ball game. And it had to be a very, very pleasant thing for you because these have been awfully good players for the University of Nebraska.
I think they've done very well for us over the years here. And of course, they've been part of a lot of successful football teams and have made great contributions. And of course, here is a guy that's not running very well right now, Vaughn Shepard. And Vaughn has had probably as many serious injuries as anybody that we've ever had here at Nebraska, and has survived pretty well. They're the Jones brothers. They wanted to go out there together. And I think Brian Washington might have gone out just ahead of them. And, of course, those fellows have all contributed a great deal. McCatherine Clayton, who's done some fine things here during his career. Jeff Tomjack from Ewing, Nebraska, who's played as a starter some for us. Clete Blakeman, who's made great contribution. And a real good person. And a fellow that I guess I've been pretty close to over the years here because I work with the quarterback so much. And I guess we lost a little bit of video here. There's Craig Schnitzler, and Craig's from Battle Creek and has been a backup kicker for us, done a very fine job. And I think we've got some of our receivers here. There's Welniak coming out there, and Doug's one of our captains from Ord, Nebraska. Steve Force, or is that? That's Force. Steve Force has really had a great year for us and played very, very well. There's Jaloha, one of our kickers, John Kelly, who's done a fine job for the past 4 years for us out of Lincoln Southeast. And
this is a very emotional time for these players to be introduced the last time, isn't it?
Well, I think it is. There's Micah Heibel coming out. I think they're all pretty excited, you know, as they come out in front of the crowd. Kevin Leitner, John McCormick, some very, very fine offensive linemen. Of course, John's been a 3-year starter for us and
made some All-American
making a
teams.
number of All-American teams this year. And there's John Nichols, center. John's played very well for us. Bill Hudson and Derek Green. So we lose quite a few offensive linemen. There's Tim Rother, and Tim has been a great player for us. Jeff Jamrog, who's started for the last couple of years, played very well as a defensive end. Henry Hawkins, who's really a very versatile athlete, done a very good job. Keith Newbert, who played basketball for the first 2 or 3 years here and has become a good football player. Tom Banderas, we saw just briefly there, and Rod Smith, guys who have contributed a great deal. And I think that was Harlan Opie who was just out there. And there's Neil Smith coming out. Tony Palmer was just ahead of Neil. Of course, Neil's a great football player, great speed, great athletic ability. And then the rest of the football team. And of course, the crowd was really very good, very enthusiastic. And I really felt bad that we had, you know, that type of crowd with that type of enthusiasm, and then didn't play a better game for them.
When you pick up action here, Oklahoma has the ball after you had deferred to the second half.
Well, we had hoped that we'd be able to hold them down here, make them punt into the wind. There was, you know, a wind of some significance. It made a little difference in the kicking game. They only pick up 2 yards on that first play. And now they give it to fullback, and he bounces off one tackler, but was able to pick up maybe a couple more yards. And you see good defensive pursuit. And I think you'll see throughout the film here that it wasn't a matter of our not giving a great effort to play. Now we just didn't play the quarterback quite well enough there. I think at the end there, Brian Washington made the stop, but they did get the first down on the play. That was Thompson who carried the ball for a short gain. Lawrence Pete was rolling a little bit there, but they didn't call him for being offside. And it looked like Collins carried the ball there for a short gain on that particular play. So they moved the ball up here near midfield and an option play. You see Leroy trying to pursue, and they had such great speed to the outside that at times we just were not able to contain them. And they picked up 6 or 7 yards on the option play there. And now we play Thompson pretty well. Good pursuit. He cut back under Steve Force, but we had good pursuit from the backside and stopped him for just a couple of yards. And they're now up around the 47-yard line. A little counter sweep here. And we play that play very well. Neil Smith came from the left tackle spot, really folded around, made a great play, and stopped him for a gain of maybe 1 yard. There's a bootleg, and you see we got clipped there. A guy got hit right in the back, and they didn't call that. And Thompson dropped the ball, but he dropped it out of bounds, and had a pretty good gain on the play of about 17 yards. And he scrambled out of bounds. There you see Charles Fryer complaining about getting hit in the back. And we also had the defensive end got hit in the back on that play, so we had a couple guys. Now here's a short dive play. Anderson gains 4. Neil Smith came from the backside, made the play. And now they're down at the 30, second down and 6 here. We play the fullback real tough, and not too bad a job on the quarterback. Gain of 2, and Broderick Thomas made the play on that particular play. But the thing we didn't want to have happen was to have them run time off the clock and get field position, which is what they're doing here. Well, this is a great play by Thompson. We got him by the face mask there, and he gets the ball off, and it's kind of a miraculous throw. And Stafford actually picked up 4 or 5 yards after catching the ball, and then they tacked on the face mask penalty. And so now they're really down deep in our territory at the 12-yard line. As a matter of fact, they call that a 15-yard face mask. And normally, you know, unless you really grab it and hang on to it, it's 5 yards. Now we get the break we're looking for. Anderson goes up the middle and fumbles the ball, and Leroy Etienne comes up with it. So that's the kind of thing that they've been having trouble with, and we were hoping might happen. And some of it did happen, but unfortunately for us, not enough. But by the same token, they've run off about 6 minutes off the clock here and held the ball a long time, and our offense gets the ball, but we get very deep in our own territory. Now,
we skipped a couple of series here, and 2 of them that neither team could do anything, and we pick it up with the Nebraska series, and Jones just picked up 3.
Right, even on this series, we're starting out on our 16-yard line, and Steve throws a little quick screen out to Rich Bell, and Rich got some good blocks out in front and picks up 11 yards on the play. So we're out to the 30-yard line here, and I thought this obviously was the best that we looked offensively all day was on this particular drive. A little counter sweep here to Dana Brinson, but you see the speed that Oklahoma has. You know, Dana's probably our fastest player, he and Keith Jones, and yet on that play they pursued very well, and he loses 3 yards on the play. So now we have a quarterback draw, and it's a pretty well blocked play. Steve runs well and gets upfield for a gain of 16. And the guy that made that play was Vickers, who I think is a great safety man. You know, he's done awfully well for them for a number of years. And now Keith Jones gets 7 yards off the left tackle area, and we really blocked pretty well on this particular play, on this drive, and we're able to run the ball on occasion. Now we run an option play, and Steve ducks up and picks up just a couple yards on the play, and so that brings up a 3rd down and 2. And we run a pitch play, and we knocked them off the ball pretty well here, and good block by our left tackle, good block by the tight end, fullback, and Keith picks up 7 yards on the 1st down, and we're now in Oklahoma territory. And now we run a reverse and a pitchback pass, and they covered the receivers downfield. We thought that might open up our split end. A good peel back block here, and now you see Steve running around the outside and picking up 11 yards and getting the 1st down, and but that was on a broken play. And we hoped that we could hit Rod Smith deep on that particular play. So now we see Steve rolling out here, and he tries to hit Todd Milliken, and it looked like the ball was just deflected right at the last minute. Good coverage, and we were called for holding on that play. And I believe they called our center, and so now we've got to overcome a 10-yard penalty, and we got a good draw play here from Keith Jones. And Keith is able to pick up 16 yards, so we got a lot of it back and a little bit more, so it's 2nd and 4 now. We run a pitch play with motion, and Rich Bell is going to block the safety man, and good blocks inside, and Keith is able to make it to the end zone, and that was, of course, I believe our longest gain of the day was a 25-yard run, and it was an excellent drive because it covered 84 yards, and we overcame a 10-yard penalty, and at this point it looked like we were going to begin to generate some things and get some things going.
I felt that we had the athletes to go out and beat anybody in the country, and I think that we just had some bad misfortunes during the game and some turnovers that was definitely negative for us offensively, but it was just one of those days that we just didn't come out on top.
Tom, the 1st quarter comes to an end. Nebraska up 7-0. Now in the 2nd quarter, there's no scoring, but plenty of action.
Huskers are painting a pretty picture. We'll be right back. Yeah.
On the old-style label,
this occasions. So we're not at all disappointed. We're sorry for the Nebraska players and the coaching staff and the fans that they lose, and we would have felt the same way, obviously, for the Oklahoma people. But we're thrilled to have Nebraska. We think we've got one of the best games going this year. Florida State was just invited. They didn't have a game today, so the invitation was just made a few minutes ago over the telephone, and it's official that Florida State and Nebraska will be in the Fiesta Bowl on January 1st.
And Florida State playing very good football right now.
Oh, indeed. We think they're one of the top teams in the country. Certainly the ratings indicate that as well. Depends on what happens with a couple critical games for Miami the next couple weeks, but we think that we'll have a situation where we'll have a number 3 ranked Florida State, possibly number 2, depending on what happens to Miami in those last 2 games, but certainly number 3 Florida State going in to probably what will be a number 5 or 6 ranked Nebraska. Those are the 2 best teams available to us. We're thrilled. The people in Phoenix are very excited. Big 8 conference participation in our game has been a lot.
71. The #1 undefeated Nebraska Cornhuskers face the #2 undefeated.
This will now be Nebraska's third appearance. Oklahoma's been there twice, Oklahoma State. So through the years, the Fiesta Bowl has had a very long and successful relationship with the Big Eight, and our people out there, many of whom are transplanted Midwesterners or winter home, part-time residents from this part of the country, will turn out in force, as you will see, to support the Huskers.
Nebraska has played in the Fiesta Bowl twice before.
Drove 74 yards with Kenny scoring to win the game. The game of the century. A great moment in Husker history. Brought to you by the law offices of Ronald J. Palagi. We're on your side.
Time we come back to the second quarter action here, and throughout this show, I'm sure I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that don't make much sense and are going to be very, very hard to answer. But you seem to turn it around here. The game seemed to turn here, and I really don't have an explanation for it, and I'm going to ask you, and do you have an explanation for it?
I think after looking at the films, Dan, that the big problem we had was that we just were not controlling the line of scrimmage. When they had the ball, they were knocking us off some, and when we had the ball, we didn't knock them off enough. Now, I'm not saying that we never made a block. We did block them at times, and I'm not saying that they always made all their blocks. But basically, if you watch the line of scrimmage, you begin to see what's going to happen, because they just had more running lanes, and I think that as the game went along, their offensive line was very, very good. Barry Switzer said nobody in the Big Eight could start in their offensive line, and I really didn't believe that, and I still don't believe that. But they're very, very good in the offensive line, and then defensively, they led the nation in, I think, 3 categories, and they're just a very, very good defensive team. Now, there, I think we lacked a little discipline on the option. The man that was supposed to take the quarterback didn't do it, and you've got to be very disciplined. You can't decide that you're going to try to play 2 people. If you got the quarterback, you got to stay with him. We had a little bit of that happening, and then sometimes we had this happening where they pitched the ball, and we just were a little bit late on our support and didn't quite get to the pitch man. And so they picked up about 6-7 yards on that particular play. Now you see that he's audibling here. I don't think they changed the play very many times during the day, maybe 3-4 times. As near as I could see, that was a fullback dive and just a short gain on the play.
Well, you get into situations here, my observation is that they were just picking them up in 3, 4, 5 yards at a time, which is, as you said in the first quarter, is exactly what you didn't want to happen. Not that they were picking up yardage, but they were taking such a long time in dominating the ball.
Well, and also if you look at the first down plays, they were getting 4, 5, 6 yards on first down. A lot of times we were getting 1 or 2 or 3, and that is really the difference in the ball game, because if you're always ending up 3rd and 5 and 6, which we often did, and in their case they were ending up 3rd and 1 or having a first down, it was really hard to maintain possession. Now here they attempt a long field goal, and they had the wind at that point, and the field goal was no good. So we're still at this point ahead in the ball game, and we now on the pitch play to Jones, just a gain of 2, and now he came back and gave the ball to Micah Heibel on a trap play. Now this play was audible at the line, because their defensive alignment took us out of the play that we wanted to run. And Micah gets hit by the linebacker, Dante Jones, picks up about 3, but now we got a 3rd and 5. Run a bootleg, and we just weren't able to knock those ends off their feet. And you see Todd Milliken reaches out, the ball's a little bit out in front of him. It wasn't a bad throw under the circumstances, and Todd was covered pretty closely by the safety man, man-to-man. Now we see John Croker coming in to punt, and John really got off a lot of great punts during the day. I think he averaged 46 yards on 9 punts. And I don't think we'd punted 9 times in the last 4 ball games. And against Iowa State, we didn't punt once. And
that was 49 yards into that stiff wind. He did have a very, very good day.
Some of his better punts were right into the wind. Now the fullback carries the ball, Anderson, and gains about 4, but we also got called for a face mask penalty on that play. And it seems like when we play Oklahoma, we get more face mask penalties than we do all year. I don't know if they got big face masks or we just tend to grab for the mask a little bit more. But this was, I believe, they might have completed one other pass, but the only significant pass that I can recall in the ball game was that one where he hits Jackson for a gain of 21 yards. It was a good catch looking back into the sun. And now again, the option play, gain of 8. And Mark Blazik comes up and makes the tackle. But we just really are a step slow sometimes on the support. And now the fullback, Anderson, for a gain of 2, and gets the first down. Steve Force made the play. And toward the end of the game, Steve was playing hurt. He had a trolley horse, and I hope he'll be able to play this next week. And now this time, we pick up action a little further down the field. And they're at the Nebraska 25, and Anderson is stopped on that particular play.
Well, we had stopped another drive with a fumble. And then we take over the ball again. And as you said earlier, we're just not able to move the ball and not getting very much on first down, and we start out with a penalty here on first down.
I think we had maybe had somebody moving on that play, and we only gained 1 yard, so they declined the penalty. And that was, I'll tell you what happened. We were trying to get Rich Bell in motion, short motion, and he couldn't hear the snap count, so he moved a little bit late, moved as the ball was being snapped. Now run a reverse to Brinson, and it looks like Dana's got something going here. And there you see Vickers recovering and making a great play, and a gain of 5 on the play. The way it started out, it looked like we were going to pick up maybe 15 or 20 yards. So now it's 3rd and 4, and we're trying to get around the end. We can't knock the end down, and Steve possibly could have thrown the ball at the end of that play, because it is an option to throw the ball. And he had Rich Bell in pretty good shape, but he elected to try to run it, and comes up short by about 3 yards. So again, we're going to have to punt here. And this time they fair catch it, but it was a 48-yard punt again into that fairly stiff breeze. And you know, when you can have a punt that distance into that wind, you've done very well. Now Oklahoma takes over here, and you see a fine play from behind by Neil Smith. Neil's got excellent speed. And they lose 1, and now it's 2nd and 11. And we're going to see Thompson going back to pass and ending up scrambling here. And again, our quickness on defense is good, and it's evident on that kind of a play. Neil Smith stopped him for another loss of 1 yard, so Neil made consecutive plays for losses there. And now it's a 3rd and 12, and on this play, we just, again, got blocked downfield, and I think everyone was looking for a pass. Our safety man started to retreat, didn't get up quite quickly enough, and Thompson's able to pick up 18 yards and get first down. Now he is going back to throw, and good coverage here. Mark Blazik has the ball. It would have been a tough catch, but he just wasn't able to hang on to it. So it was intended for Cabinets. They're split in. Now quarterback draw, and this is one of their real staple plays, and we get called for a late hit there. And you know, Brian Washington was just kind of falling into him, and Fryer had a hold of him before he went out of bounds. And they told us they called it on 10. I don't see how they can call that. I can see where they might have called Brian Washington for falling into him out of bounds, but Charles had a hold of him before he ever went out of bounds and just fell out of bounds with him, and they called a penalty. But here Tom Jack comes back and makes a fine interception, and so they were turning it over here, and that was kind of keeping us in the ball game.
3 turnovers had kept Nebraska in the ball game in the 2nd quarter. When we come back, we'll talk to Tom about the adjustments they made at halftime.
The Sooners are happy to be in Nebraska. Stay tuned!
It was 26-17 win over Washington State. In that game, Pruitt was in on 19 tackles and had 2 interceptions, one which was returned 18 yards for the go-ahead touchdown. But an even more likely 1987 Colorado All-American is punter Barry Helton. He's been a consensus All-American each of the last 2 years and is averaging around 44 yards per punt again this season. He's attempting to become the Big Eight's first ever 3-time consensus All-American, although his low number of punts this season has kept him off the national stat sheet much of the year. Nebraska remains the designated rival of Colorado and Coach Bill McCartney, and next Saturday's game may be sort of the Buffalo Bowl game this season. But Nebraska has incentive against CU this year after Colorado beat the Huskers in 1986 for the first time since 1967. For Husker Highlights, this is Dick Janda.
Should be a good game, and I think a lot of Husker fans will show up out in Boulder for that one. We have a prestigious guest predictor for the Nebraska-Colorado game. I talked with CBS Sports announcer Brent Musburger following yesterday's game for his impressions of the Sooners' victory and to get his prediction on the Colorado game.
I think Oklahoma's defense played about as good a game as I have seen a defensive unit play in a long, long time. I thought it was a tremendous effort by their coaching staff. They knew they had to keep the score down. They couldn't get into a shootout with Tom Osborne after having lost the quarterback and the fullback. I think on the other hand, the freshman quarterback did everything as expected. And so the Oklahoma team deserves a lot of credit.
I know it surprised a lot of Husker fans here. Did it surprise you?
Oh, yes. I thought Nebraska was going to win this game. There was no question about it. I thought it was their year. They were favored. They deserved to be. They'd lost 3 in a row to them. 2 great rivals like this. I thought the Cornhuskers would win it.
Now, I know this is a lot of pressure. You're going to be our guest predictor this week. Let's have a specific prediction on the Colorado-Nebraska game next week.
Well, I think Nebraska will struggle early on. I think they will be emotionally down after having lost, and then they will prevail in the second half, and they will win it 24-16, and they'll go down to the Fiesta Bowl and play a great game against Florida State.
Okay, so
that's the first time you've ever been as Peaceless. Well, we were still ahead though, Dan, and you know, I think the outcome of the game maybe has influenced your thoughts at halftime here. You know, we'd hung in there. We were ahead 7-0, and we talked about some things that we thought we needed to do adjustment-wise, and sometimes you can tell players what they ought to do, and sometimes it doesn't get done. And so we didn't lose our heads at all. We just talked about how they were playing us on defense, how they were playing us on offense, the usual things. And there wasn't any hollering or screaming because, you know, we felt like the players were giving us good effort. And I think if players are not trying hard and you see some lack of effort, then you get on them. But in this kind of a game here, you don't have to worry about that. I think everybody played as hard as they could. And I was really amazed because I thought before the game our emotional and our mental attitude was about as good as it's ever been. But I think that's the thing that's a lot of times overplayed, the locker room speeches and who said what in the papers. Still, when the game starts, you got to get out there and you got to whip some guy that's a foot from you across the line. You got to be able to beat him consistently. You got to be fast enough to get the corner. You got to make the plays. And both teams were ready to play, and unfortunately, they just made more plays than we did.
When we come back, we get to the third quarter. And, of course, that means turnovers, and they weren't good for Nebraska, but we have to look at them when we come back.
Tom Osborne and Dan Livingston's wardrobe are furnished by Ben Simons, Omaha and Lincoln.
Nation are facing hard times. When farms fail, the whole community feels the...
Say, have you seen my cup?
Isn't it right there on the shelf?
You still get the extra effort and investment service that you've come to expect.
There's something different about this cup.
We're just changing our name to Emeritus Investment Corp.
That's good.
Emeritus Investment Corp. Still represented throughout Nebraska with offices in Lincoln and Omaha.
Give us a great rate. Give us a cash rebate.
Now, when you open or renew a certificate of deposit at Occidental, Nebraska, you get a hot interest rate and a pocket full of cold, hard cash as well.
Great rate and a cash rebate.
Use it any way you choose. Bills, holiday cash, mad money. Add it to your initial deposit if you like.
The rate, the rebate.
Great rates, cash rebate, only at Occidental, Nebraska.
This child star became ambassador to Ghana.
What?
Hurry, Shirley Temple! Audio Daily Double. They sang, "Time is on my side."
The Rolling Stones. What are you doing? We're taking Jeopardy. Oh, excuse me, I never took a foreign language. She's short, not a real blonde, and she hasn't had a date in 3 months.
Who is Nancy?
Jeopardy, weekdays at 4:30 on KM3.
Riley here will now explain our new long-distance discount plan.
Thank you, sir. Nearly
A lot of long-distance companies offer volume discounts.
p.m. and 8 a.m. to determine your total usage.
But why bother with all that? Introducing all-time volume discounts from Northwestern Bell. Just dial 1 plus the number. And if it's in your Northwestern Bell zone, you could save up to 20% on long distance automatically. All-time volume discounts from Northwestern Bell. No forms, no fees, no fooling.
We're back, and we're going to pick up action in the third quarter, Coach. And what we didn't want to happen, of course, happens here with the turnover down deep in your end of the field.
Well, the thing that we had really done well in the first half was take care of the ball. We at times didn't move it well, but we had no turnovers. I believe Oklahoma did have 3 in the first half. And I think that's basically one of the reasons why we were ahead 7-0 at the halftime. And I think even though we did not dominate the game in any way, if we'd been able to play without a turnover, we might still have been able to win the game. And first play there, we try a dive play, and both linebackers hitting like a rival after a gain of just a couple yards. And now we have a penalty for a loss of 5, and then come back with a draw play here, and a gain of 3 on we'd made several yards on that draw earlier, and now comes a play that I guess we all wish we had back. Dana Brinson was maybe had a step on the defensive back who was playing him man-to-man, and Steve probably threw it about a yard behind him, and the defensive back got a hand on it, and it was a tip ball, and they get the ball down deep in our territory. And of course this was, because this play and the long run that Oklahoma had in the ball game were really backbreakers. You see here the ball it was thrown about 2-3 feet behind Dana. I think if he'd had it out in front, Dana had a chance to catch it and have a big play. But they do play a lot of man-to-man defense, and this is one reason why they've had so many interceptions. They're really near the receivers. And if that ball's a little bit off, they've been able to deflect them and pick them off. And of course, that's what they hurt Oklahoma State with so badly. Now, this play here, they just go in and score. You see our safety man is just a step away right there. He didn't quite get to the alley, and they score rather easily. And so, as I said, the 3 turnovers we had hurt us so badly because at least 2 of them were really deep, and one of them was fairly deep in our territory. And I don't believe we got any of their turnovers deep at all. Here's a replay on the option. And you can see there just the effect of speed, where you don't quite judge the angle properly, and you just don't get there. So at this point, the score is tied 7-7. Now Steve, on this play, finally exercises the option. He looked at Rod Smith on the slant, didn't see him, and then probably should have brought it down the line and pitched it sooner, but he does pitch it late. They also had a penalty on the play, which we declined. Now we pitched the ball out here on the corner, and they react pretty well. A gain of 3 to Keith Jones on that particular play. And we have moved the ball up here to a little bit better field position. Another pitch play here with Keith, and Keith gains 2. So now it's a 3rd and 4 on this play at the about the 41-yard line of Oklahoma. And you see Steve gets hit by the defensive end just as he's throwing it, and he's going to try to go to Rod Smith behind Dana Brinson, and we just couldn't hold up there, so we had to punt it away. And see there, we grabbed the ball loose. Charles Fryer took it away from Thompson, but they were able to recover it, and they still gained 5 yards on the play. So a 2nd and 5 at the Oklahoma 25-yard line at this point. And you see Stafford on a little counter sweep here, and we missed the tackle there. Leroy Etienne made a lot of plays during the day. On that play, he didn't quite close the hole off, and they were able to pick up 1st down, gain of 5. Now this time Thompson actually took the ball away from the fullback. Fullback was trying to hang on to it, and he did gain 4. Mark Blazek supported well on that play and tackled him. And now it's a 2nd and 6 here, and he pitches the ball at Stafford. In this case, we really had good support. We missed the tackle there by Lorenzo Hicks, but Leroy Etienne was right there, and we had 2 people on the pitch, and they gained 1. So now it's 3rd and 5, And this was the other big play. They came pretty close together. Pitch play, and again, you're going to see that we're just a little bit slow getting the alley. You see, Blazik was a step away, and then also the corner, again, maybe could have attacked a little faster. And so they got that crack that they need, and Patrick Collins is very, very fast. Collins and Stafford both probably run sub 4.4 in the 40, and so you just can't make a mistake and contain it.
We show it again here, and you talk about a crack. It just barely is a crack. I mean, it just barely slides through, and that's the wishbone, though.
Well, you've got to have speed to run it like they do, and they probably are the fastest team overall in America, and we're not far off. You know, we're probably one of the top 2 or 3, but we're not number 1 in speed, and it certainly showed up on yesterday's game.
It's 14-7 after 3 Oklahoma. We'll have the 4th quarter when we return.
Look out, look out, here come the Sooners, we'll be right back. OU's number 1, OU.
What do I believe in? Playing hard, working hard.
I bet you were a cheerleader.
Me?
Yeah.
Rah-rah.
Now there's a ketchup just for onion lovers. Introducing new Heinz ketchup and onions.
You know, the problem may be so involved that a psychologist needs to be involved, possibly the school system, and possibly the family, other...
Give us a great race. Give us a cash rebate.
Now, when you open or renew a certificate of deposit at Occidental, Nebraska, you get a hot interest rate and a pocket full of cold, hard cash as well.
Great rate and a cash rebate.
Use it any way you choose. Bills, holiday cash, mad money. Add it to your initial deposit if you like.
The rate, the rebate.
Great rates, cash rebate, only at Occidental, Nebraska.
14.
Of yesterday, with all the skill and innovation of today, you couldn't lose. Blue Cross and Blue Shield carry the caring card.
Has Sizzler changed some things?
Yeah, they have changed some things.
I like it here.
Sizzler steak and all you can eat shrimp.
Oh, look at those shrimp, Jody. Come on now, eat up. You too. Jody, is your plate still full? I guess so. Come on, honey.
Steak and all you can eat shrimp.
Sweetie, just eat one for Mommy.
Proof there is such a thing as too much of a good thing.
It's a good football team. We start to look at the 4th quarter here. But it was just one of those days when tip passes and fumbles and not quite getting the 1 yard just didn't seem to go your way the whole time, besides them being a very, very good football team.
Well, the turnovers that we had hurt us badly, but still, Dan, I think we can't ignore the fact that we got kicked around pretty good. You know, and I'm not in any way making excuses or saying we had bad breaks, because it wasn't that kind of a day. But here we see one that hurt badly. The linebacker got a hand on the ball, and of course sometimes those tip balls, your guy ends up with them. Sometimes they go out of bounds, but in this case they catch it. And we played a lot of the ball game in the second half down deep in home territory. And when you're playing against a good defense, it's just really hard to score points when that happens. Now a trap play here to the fullback, and gain about 4 on that play. And now it's a 3rd and 6 here, and you see him break loose. We were blitzing on that play. People might say, well, why don't you blitz more? Well, when you blitz against the wishbone, you're kind of playing Russian roulette. We felt we had to do something, and they fumbled the ball here. But this one, they get back on. And Rodney Anderson, you know, is really a good runner, but he does have trouble hanging on the ball, and I think he dropped it 2 or 3 times yesterday. But they were kind of fortunate there in that they came out of it and recovered it.
Well, the defense plays very, very well. The last series, the offense turned it over, and they got the ball in good position, and they held. Again here, they're going to hold, keep them out of the end zone.
Yeah, we did a pretty good job for the field position that they had, and they were moving the ball. We did a pretty good job of keeping them from scoring a lot of points. And now you see a third down play here, and the quarterback slips, but he also, you know, Brian Washington had a chance to tackle him there, so that brought on a fourth down and 1 or something like this, and they're going to go for the field goal at this point. So they come in, and this time they converted, and of course that made the game very, very difficult at that point because it was now 17-7, 7:40 left to go. Here, you know, we had people assigned to the quarterback, and nobody played him. And in that case, Thompson ducks out of there for 30 yards, and again they're down in our end of the field. Now Anderson breaks up the middle for a gain of 22, and Charles Fryer makes the stop. And they continue to move down the field here a little further, and we're going to pick up action 2nd and 9. And they're at the Nebraska 12 at this point. And Collins takes the pitch around the end and gets hit real hard right there by Lee Jones. And I think that we recover the fumble here. And Lee comes out of the pile with the ball. And actually the hit, I guess, was by one of our defensive backs who knocked the ball loose. And now we're going to turn it right back over to him. This was probably Steve's worst throw of the day. The linebacker dropped deep, and probably there Steve needed to drop the ball off short to the I-back, who was right in front of the linebacker and would have picked up 8 or 9 yards. So now it's a 4th down and 10, and Lasher comes in, and this time he misses a field goal and just hooked it off to the left. So we still got a slim chance here to at least get something on the board. I don't think it's going to be possible to win the game, but now Steve throws the ball to Todd Milliken, and Todd makes a good catch and gains 17 yards on that play. So now it's a 3rd down and 6 here, and you'll see Steve taking off and scrambling here and picking up 11 yards and got first down at the Oklahoma 48-yard line. We're in a hurry-up offense here, a spread formation, calling the plays at the line of scrimmage, and he saw a play that he liked here and audibled it, and Rich Bell picks up 14 on that play. So we're now at the 34-yard line, but time's growing very short here. Now on 2nd and 3, he tries to hit Henley Hawkins and does, so that's Rich Bell there actually. And Rich has a gain of 7 or 8 on that play. And we're down at the 15-yard line here, and I thought we could have gotten an interference call here. They pushed off on Henley just before the ball arrived and didn't call it. And now we throw on this play. I think we're trying to hit a crossing receiver and can't find anybody open, so Steve gets out of bounds and stops the clock and loses about 4 or 5 on that play. And this is the last play of the game. And eventually he does throw it deep for Rod Smith here under a lot of pressure, and of course the ball's knocked away. So that was in the game, and again we just didn't get it done, and not much we can say about it except they whipped us, and whipped us pretty good.
Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, says most certainly it was a good old-fashioned whooping.
The Game of the Century Part 2 is history. We'll be right back.
You're my shining star, you make every day brand new. You keep me in touch no matter where you are. Fill my world with fun, you're my number one. I love the way you do what you do. Come on and share it. Can-free spirit, oh yes. You got a way of talking that goes straight to my heart. A winning spirit that sets you apart. You make me feel like laughing. A good time, you're the best. You're the best. Come on and share it. Can-free spirit, oh yes.
In New York, the winters are tough and long. So I spend a lot of hours in the gym.
Come on, man, let's go.
Many of the things I did on the basketball court while I was growing up were the results of dreaming them, or just laying back and then imagining myself floating in the air and thinking about the hundreds of different ways that I can make the ball go in. I worked very hard. Let me tell you, I made a lot of sacrifices trying to be as good as I can be. And I did not want to do anything that was going to short-circuit that. Drinking, drugs, it doesn't make sense. I knew that they were counter to what I was working for. It just doesn't make sense.
You're up, you're down. You're very happy, then you're sad. Very enthusiastic, and then nothing to say. That's the game. And John Nickel takes us on this very emotional roller coaster ride. As John has shown us graphically in that piece, the loss was difficult for the fans and the players, but maybe more so for Coach Osborne, who was right there, ready to win the national championship, and now the hopes are dim. How tough was it for him? I'll ask him when we come back.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Everyone's asleep.
I gotta wake them up. Come on.
Happy holidays from Folgers.
Describe how bad it feels. I feel like it's this big, like a big tomato. I've got a sore nose.
It's just the rubbing and the dripping and the sneezing and the wiping and the rubbing and the dripping and the sneezing and the wiping.
Introducing first aid for your nose when it's sore from too much blowing. New Puffs Plus.
Feels like there may be something in there.
There's lotion. I feel it on my fingers.
No. A lotion.
Oh, yeah, I could hold this right here all day. I want to know how they got it on here.
It's the first tissue with moisturizing lotion. New Puffs Plus.
Well, it saved my nose.
Puffs Plus is much less irritating than my tissue. I've never had an experience where you blow your nose and it feels so good.
New Puffs Plus. First aid for your sore nose.
I got my old nose back. I'm happy.